2016, in Ghana. Keshe Foundation Ghana's mandate is to build awareness and promote research into plasma technology. The foundation is presently working with governmental institutions and other interest groups in Ghana to fulfill this goal. At the conference, you will be afforded the opportunity to learn about and experience plasma technology firsthand. The cost of admission to the conference includes 3-night stay in one of Ghana's prestigious hotels. Hotel packages include a single, double, or twin room option, and an option for an apartment or suite. Breakfast, tea, and coffee breaks, and a buffet lunch on the days of the conference are also included. Keshe Foundation Ghana is focused on utilizing plasma technology to solve numerous problems facing the African nation. Come to the New Dawn, Africa's Meteoric Rise and Spaceship Technology Conference in Ghana. Learn about plasma technology and learn how you can participate in spreading the word about it. Together, we can bring freedom to Africa and humanity, and we hope to see you there.
Okay, that's the beginning of our workshop, and I think Mr. Keshe is ready to speak with us here. Are you there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, as usual, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you listen to us. We have been trying since some 6-7 hours ago, testing the system with our attorneys in Washington. And during the process, Douglas has broken 2 pieces of the system, which is vital to run the system. We achieved over Unity, much more than over Unity, and in that process, the starter motor could not support to bring in the compressors in that they could start. So we had to stop. We tried to purchase anywhere in Washington we could to bring the pieces together that demonstration could be shown. And at this moment, we cannot demonstrate. All the parts have been brought in. They try tomorrow to see if they can get the parts, or the team goes back to their location, and in due course, when we can put the other power generators around the world together, we bring them out. We're expecting the Italy to come in by tomorrow while we are on teaching. We see the others coming in. We are receiving a lot of pictures. People are putting their units together. So today's meeting, we wanted to stop and cancel it. But the decision of the lawyers and the people who were with us was, we have not lost anything. It's a new generation development, and it is what it shows. So we have the videos, we know it's working. So I don't know what's going to happen in Washington, as we are not there, we are in Europe. They cannot show any demonstration. This is a decision we even until about an hour ago. We were trying to purchase any pieces which is broken around Washington and could not happen. It's too late. They could not achieve it. So there is no demonstration. We cannot demonstrate the unit. Arman is the speaker in the progress, and we have to wait to see what they decide in Washington, what they're going to release with us. It is unfortunate we are in this position, but we know the system works. We have videoed it. We have seen it in working condition. As is a hybrid, the motor which kicks in the energy just snapped. The motor just stuck in the magnet rotator inside the system, just stuck and it shattered to pieces. And the compressor capacitor, which you all see on your system, it just broke down to pieces, so we cannot do anything. And this is part of the live testing I'm being there to do. We have shown in the process of the testing that the lights come in and the system started, but we couldn't get the capacitor pump and the 2 fridges. We had 4 pumps. We could not get the main capacitor pump to work. So what we are waiting for is for the people who are in Washington to start the conference. I am not aware of what's happening there. As far as we know, there is still, they had a pre-dinner organized before the presentation. On the other hand, in the process of past 2 days, as we said, this hybrid unit has this inherent problem of failure, mechanical failure. And we are aware of it, and that's why we have moved, as we said, to a solid state system. The solid state system is getting tested. We have 3-4 versions of it running, and very soon we should be able to show you the hybrid to be taken over by the solid state system. We've seen a lot of people asking a lot of questions. There is a very clear distinction. The blueprint which has been released has a 110 volt pump, starter pump. With the 220 in Europe, you need to have a 220 watt power supply, or you buy a motor that supplies 220 that can trigger the plasma, and when the compressor clicks in, the system starts. We have seen a number of people who are posting that their system is nearly to test. Rick, do you received a number of pictures in the background? Could you show some of them if you've seen them, or you got
no, I'm not aware of them yet. Let me have a look.
They are in your messengers. A number of pictures has been sent to you from different people around the world who are testing and developing, and they're on a pre-testing condition, or they'll be releasing their systems in a working condition and testing condition in the next few days. Have you found them?
No, it'll take me several minutes to download them and so on here to be able to get that set up.
No problem. This is something which we did not expect. What do you call it, in the test this afternoon, double failure was one failure before we had with a capacitor resistor. The system was working this morning. When we moved it from the hotel to the office of our attorney in Washington, we seen the damage, but one part was damaged this morning. We seen it, and we could carry on to replace it. And when the pump shaft literally broke, there was nothing else we could do. We were at it till about 6 o'clock, which is about an hour ago. And this is part of the practicality we had. We showed the same thing with the MAGRAPH system when we released it, but now it's in your hand. You developed it, you've done it. It would have been good to be able to see it. We kept people in Washington since Sunday that they could be shown today, but it hasn't happened. And we have pictures of the test today if Rick can get hold of it. But this is part of the real physicality of the testing such a technology. It's a hybrid, and the hybrid, because of the mechanical part, has its failures. We have to see others when they push it and they develop it, or they replicate it, they don't run into the same problem. Or in our manufacturing, all these things have been looked after. This is a prototype which is there, and it was a first prototype we wanted to be seen. We've seen this prototype for 3-4 weeks working in the background in transportation. It occurred damages several, and then when we tested part which was left behind, we tried to replace it, and it just one thing led to another. But it's a matter of 24 hours, 48 hours delay. the team goes back home and they put it together, and this time we make sure the presentation of it is done directly at a point of presentation. But the by then I'm sure a number of you will deliver. We already achieved 2.3 kilowatt and 7 kilowatt in test in Italy. We have to be able to we show that in public, because that is actually the blue box which will be received, and we have overcome a lot of things in this process to make it a solid state. Rick, have you managed to start? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've got the first picture lined up here. Yeah. Let me show
You can show the pictures from the test. Oh, these are the people making the system. The compressor and the capacitor compressor. Do you have another picture? You've been sent a number of pictures of this.
There's about 20 pictures in a row, so I'll try to set that up without showing my desktop. Let me see here.
Okay, don't show your desktop.
That's the trouble with trying to get things set up.
This is the yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through the pictures here.
Yeah. Can you expand the picture or not?
Okay.
Okay. These are the pictures this afternoon, which we've been busy with to in the test. You can see in the background the shaft where you see just where the motor connects the central pump has literally snapped in pieces, and it broke inside, and this is why we could not. This is the office of the attorney. The demonstration was getting done that everything is perfect, and they have seen in the process the over unity running up the lights, and we are in this position at the moment. But this is a demonstration that we were hoping that we can show the totality of it. But we cannot do when there is a mechanical failure, and this is inherent with this kind of hybrids. You have more pictures?
Okay, I think that's about it on that one. Just a minute.
You got more pictures?
Yeah, there's more. It just takes time to set each one up because it's in Facebook, and I have to get it off the page and try to get it reset up, and it's very awkward, and it takes time for one here. So anyways, there's another one. I have to re-share each one as well.
If you can have these for the teaching tomorrow. We don't see it. It's a split picture.
Okay, I have to readjust everything. Okay, there's that one. I have to make a new screen up there. It's because the window's too big. Okay, I'll make the window smaller. Try it again.
Those of you who started assembling these, what especially today we noticed is centralizing and making sure the beam into the center pump is centralized and does not vibrate. The vibration of the, what we call the motor, cause the breakup of the uh, central magnetic piece of the pump, and this is where we experience it. So if you are running these things with a pump and a motor, please make sure there is no vibration, because the smallest vibration, it builds up and it touches the central piece and it just smashes open to pieces. And this is where we had this failure today, and is unless we can devise something else behind it, this will be, most of you will test, or you'll see the same kind of failures in the long run. But as we say, this is just needed to start a pump, and then you draw it, it stops working. But that initial stage, we built to about 600, 700 volts, and the system will not go any further. It just broke, it just snapped. Can we get Brett in the background, or else still at the dinner? You get no response. Okay, while we are waiting, if there are any questions, I'll try to answer if it helps anyone. Are there any questions? Then there's an input on the chat. It says, in the German Zoom meeting today, we started to find a solution to erase the compressors in the setup. Plans are already made and the testing starts in some time. We see different groups are waiting for this to come in. This is most probably the German group. There is something which I have to explain to you. It's got to be added to the blueprint, especially with the 220, 240. Because of the higher level voltage, you need more than 8 capacitors. This is very important. This is what we have seen. If with a 110 supply, like United States, 4, 6 capacitors will do. But because you go in a high peak, you need minimum 8 to 12 capacitors in parallel, that it can take the high peak, otherwise your capacitors start burning. In the other structures, you have to make sure that there is no non-nano-coated wire anywhere in this structure. This is very important, because what you will see burn and marks on the wood till the system nano-coats itself. If you are running a very high usage current, you have to go to higher gauges, 12, 10. If you are going for 6 to 10 kilowatts, these are more systems as we show. You see this problem is here, where we see, for example, this is a motor which is used, the white piece at the bottom of this page, that this is where your problem will come. Your problem will come here in this section. That's where we see the bracket. If there is a smallest vibration, this section will break inside the motor. This is where we lost our motor today. This is the problem piece. The other piece is these magnet sets here, these capacitors, has to be increased if you're going on 24. The connections with your system has to be all nano-coated. And once the system kicks in, there is no problem. You need a capacitor, compressor, and a normal compressor, because the capacitor in charging up creates a variation which allows the infinity loop to take place and take shape, and it starts going. If you have two similar generators, you will not stand a chance as far as we see it, but you can create oscillation as the same as a heart in your systems once you go into the solid state testing, which we show you. Solid state testing system is very, very simple. It's much simpler than what you see. It literally the same as a blue box maggrav unit. No, even we can go smaller, I think. The possibility is that maybe tomorrow we show you the structure of the what we call pocket size, which is a Rubik cube size, if it's ready to be shown. So you see the solid state maggrav, what we call generators, second generation, which is solid state, will not have all this wiring and all this elaborate, but the wiring inside is extremely elaborate. We see this one. Where are these from? Does anybody know?
This is chart.
It says what I'm hearing is the system is working so well that that's Cherwin from Norway. Mechanical part could not handle the power of the unit. Is this true? No, it's just reaching the 1000 volt, which with 60 hertz triggers in the plasma, is very difficult if you haven't fixed everything and you get a vibration. And the strange thing was today, because they left the units back in at home, so they bought a handrail fixed on a piece of wood with a center locked in the pump, and the handrail literally shook, as we saw in the white, and is broken. It says we don't understand. I cannot read. Is it in German? From Mark Blank. Mark Blank. So you see this. These are the parts of the problem. My advice to you is make sure there is no loose pieces. There are no loose pieces because we've seen the failures here. When the system was on the table and fixed for weeks, we had no problem. In moving the table has to start causing the problem. Yes, this is a flexible coupling is needed between the DC motor and the AC pump motor. This is the problem, but it was done, I think, this way, as we've seen. This has to. They're asking what kind of lubrication gel do we use in capacitors. Normal gels you buy, hand gels, is been used by Douglas. And we have to wait and see how much and how far we can bring this thing out. I don't personally favor the gel, but this is what you will teach us. Most probably we learn different way. I prefer to use a gas gel, which is much easier to make, and it is a power supply itself. All you need to do, you add certain amount of salt, which keeps the system always moist, and it works perfectly. I've done that for some times, and I know it works very, very effective. Are they going to start the conference in Washington? Do we have any response from Brett? Are there any other questions? Today, for security reasons, we are not promoting anyone to panelists for security reasons. It says Neil Herrick has fixed the vibration problem. A 80,000 RPM motor runs a pump and reaches 220 at a speed of 40,000 RPM. Yes, but the other thing is, what is the frequency you create? This is important as well. If it stays at 50 to 60, this is the combination you need. 110, 50, 60, or 20, 220, 240, 50, 60 hertz. Can you call Brett to see if they want to start a seminar, because it's nearly 1:30? Okay, I've just received I can say, can you send it to the people who were there recording pictures of the test this afternoon? They just sent the picture. This is a photo which shows the light came on as was test started. If it goes to Caroline, we can show it. It says the frequency is about 160 hertz. Is this too much? We don't know. Test it, because we've never been over 50, 60 for our system. Just 1 second, please. Hello, Arman. Pardon?
Yes, just to let everybody know on YouTube that we just had Mr. Kess drop out, so we're just waiting for him to return. It'll be just a couple moments.
Okay, well, bear with us as we wait for the connection to be made to Washington, D.C. to see what's happening at the news conference or the news newsroom, might say. Maybe we can look at some questions that people or comments from some of the chat here. Simon says, Mr. Kesh, you're doing an amazing job teaching everyone, learning so much from everyone here. Thank you. Cleve is asking in the live stream, Mr. Kesh, why is it important to stay on the hybrid? Well, it's not a bad question, but because, I mean, we are told that there's this more sealed and smaller unit that's coming up and so on. So why would we focus on the hybrid one with these rotating motors and magnets and so on? If we have a solid state unit coming up next, why would we even focus on these? And that was part of what we were asking in the Kesh Plasma Reactor group last night as well, which is why are we even going through this exercise if we're going to move to the next step anyway? But I found that the discussion was quite interesting, actually, and we were looking at the diagram of the circuit on the blackboard and so on, and discussing different parts and finding out more about refrigerator circuits and all this kind of thing. But what I realized partway through the discussion was that there was a different way to discuss the whole situation, which was in the plasmatic way. So I come up with the concept, probably not the first, for a plasmatic schematic, because we were looking at an electrical schematic, the way the electrons would flow through the wires and coils and capacitors and whatnot. But we need to also look at it at the same time from the plasmatic point of view. How does the plasma flow? And what would the plasma do, you could say? In which case, often it may be the exact opposite of what an electron might do. So we were playing with that idea, and it was a really good exercise, actually, to try to transposed from the old technology, rotating motors and rotating magnets and relays and switches and wires and all this kind of stuff, to the plasmatic schematic, which would be not necessarily have wires in it, but more almost concepts, or how do you describe plasma on a two-dimensional piece of paper that other people can also recognize as, oh yes, I know that infinity loop symbol, for example. That makes sense to me in terms of plasma. We've talked about infinity loops in plasma. So infinity loop would want to be one of the symbols perhaps on a plasmatic schematic. So we did discover that we needed to have a common language, because we don't really have a common language. This is what Mr. Kesh has been trying for years to get us to realize. In a way, he uses different language than ordinary science and electrical and so on, and for good reason, because we've been not brainwashed, but we've been tricked in a way to believe that electrons move in certain ways, and there's really are electrons and particles and so on moving around. But from the plasma point of view, it may not be that way. Anyway, any comments or questions about that? I'm just trying to fill in some time here while we wait for the connection to be made. Yes, so Chad says, Rick, oh, sorry, go ahead. Is that Mr. Kesh or no?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about this. It's just that somehow with whether it's set up in the background security, we fall in and we can't get back out. I just had a call from Armin. You need to promote Brett to join in, please. They're just trying to get on the net. I need to record. Have you given me that option? Okay.
You should be able to. You may not be able to start your video though, unless we ask you. You need to start the video.
I can start my video, but I don't think it's needed. We can stay as it is.
Right.
Because we're on the camera. It says, can we use aluminium number 8 for the inside capacitor? Any problem if we use it with copper as well? The combination capacitor material has been tested. In some cases it's more powerful. What we see is combination of GaNs, nanomaterial and matter state. Some are testing. They show very positive results.
We're here, Mr. Kesh.
Hello, you're there. Would you like to join or share a screen with us?
There you go.
Okay. Would you like to explain to us, or who's going ahead?
He wants to introduce himself.
Okay.
Do you want to get started now?
Yeah, you can introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming here. I'm John Hurley, for those of you who have not encountered me before. And we have a special group here over the years. If you remember Sarah McClendon of the senior White House correspondent for many years. She was the one that essentially set up the McClendon News Group and appointed me as chairman for that. So I have been putting on different presentations here over the last couple of decades that usually the presentations have difficulty picking up time, picking up general exposure. So we are especially pleased today to have him on here with the Keshe Foundation, because we know how vital it is and how pervasive it is when you see what he has to say when it comes to energy. So thank you very much for being with us.
It's not only energy.
Well, it's the energy of knowledge.
Hello, gentlemen and ladies.
You're gonna have to speak up on
Today is August 17, 2016, and we as a Keshe Foundation family,
Speak a little bit louder, project.
as a Keshe Foundation family, as a speaker of the Keshe Foundation, I want to present Mr. Meran Tawakuli Keshe, which is the founder of our foundation, which is all the knowledge explained and taught from him. And today we're going to represent our MAGRAV unit. We had a little bit of problems, but we are trying to fix today or tomorrow.
Douglas will say a few words about what happened.
Yes, that's what his words. But today, not only we're gonna, because with the energy, but we can explain the totality, what Keshe Foundation is about, and what we're gonna bring to whole humanity to make this together. Mr. Keshe, you can go ahead.
Why don't you put her on top?
Do you have a picture, or you don't have a picture of you, or you just have a voice?
We should be able to get a picture for you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I need Vince, if you can promote that I can use the video.
Okay. So our picture will only appear when somebody in here is speaking, I think.
No,
For him.
they can see us.
Okay, so he can see us.
Yes.
Okay, good.
If you say, I understand, but they're.
You can see the audience now?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you all of you for being there. I can see you waving your hand. I'm waiting for the camera. If you can see our picture, I'm waiting to be promoted that we can share the camera. First of all, thank you very much for being there. I know a lot of you came to see the power generator. Earlier on today, we were at the Office of the Attorneys and running tests, and Douglas, in trying to set the system to achieve power to start the system off, has managed to break the central piece of the pump, and it's a vital piece. We tried to acquire one, and before that, he burned the compressor capacitor, and double failure is impossible to rectify. We got to this point about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So in that process, in testing, starting the system, we passed over Unity very easily. There are some pictures which is sent to us, you can see. But in general, this is irrelevant. This what we call the hybrid system has already surpassed with the solid state system, which we will show in next coming days. This is a problem with a hybrid. You have a mechanical system which can fail, and we've seen it immediately. This system was working perfect for about a month in where Douglas coming from, in transportation, and leaving some pictures, some pieces behind. Excuse me 1 second. Gordon has sent you a picture. Can you check your Zoom and send it with the light? Yeah. So what we had in transportation, or whatever, the capacitor compressor has been damaged when it was set up. I saw it working this morning before it was moved on, and this is a prototype. And in that process, I do apologize. You would have seen the MAGRAV units in work. the gentleman who is walking just now, we can see him. He was present that they start showing the lights coming on. But we have released a blueprint. This was our version. Now we have seen around the world. We've been going on for about 30 minutes before you join us, and we've seen people around the world how to start putting this system together. The whole principle, as I was explaining today, is not that we have produced a system which can give you free energy. I'm a nuclear physicist, and in the process of development of the nuclear technology, I came to realize there is more beyond nuclear. We opened the atom, and then we opened the atom and we saw the nucleus and electrons, but none of us ever understood what's inside these neutrons and protons and electrons. Now we have gone into that level. This is why this technology looks very strange and something which we did not know. When we found the atomic bomb was a very big thing. When we found the power of nuclear, we found it much more powerful. And now we have found the power of the plasma. And this is why it looks so strange. The deeper we go into the depth of the creation, the more powerful structures we find. And this is the beginning. This power generator is a fraction of the work of the foundation, maybe not even 2 or 3% of it. We have used this knowledge in agriculture. We have used now extensively this in health. We are using it in production of the material. For the first time in the past couple of weeks, we have managed to produce metal out of fresh air, understanding the work of the plasma, the way material are created in the universe. These are all done by the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers around the world. The videos are available. Now we have managed in the steps of changing the scene of the agriculture, decontamination of water and all sorts of things. And we are not theoretical, because now we are actually manufacturing units which are sold in the market, and we have set up a factory now in Arizona which will start producing these systems. So in the view of those who come and say there is a new free energy, it's not a free energy, it's a plasma. In understanding further in how the neutron and proton actually constructed internally, now we are breaking into that level. And beyond this is understanding what we call the unity. And this is the unity, this is the totality of it. In the coming weeks, we have already sold what is been sold for over a year now. The first factory started setting up over just about a year ago this month in Italy. And in that process, what we call the maglev units, which shows the creation of the control of the plasma, has been tested. People see reduction in their electricity bill depending on how it's connected to the grid. And now we have added one piece to it. The only thing which we added is that now we have found the plasma needs a heartbeat. The plasma is like blood of the man. You need to, when I was explaining this afternoon to the people in the presentation, when you have a heart attack or when your heart stops, somebody gets on top of you and pushes the heart so many times. They do it for 10, 20 times till they create the rhythm of the plasma of the blood. And that's why you come back to life. Or we use the intensive situation of high voltage and whatever to create that condition. Now that we understand the work of a plasma, the new system which we produce energy with, we looked to find the heartbeat of the plasma. That's all. There is a pump which comes on. It triggers the 60 hertz, 50 hertz or 110 volts. It builds up itself. The pump builds up to about 1000 volts. And then this triggers the plasma. Then we withdraw this pump. And this is the part which is broken, and that's caused the problem this afternoon. So now we have found out how the heartbeat is needed to trigger the plasma. We are doing it totally different way than the pump. This was the very original system which was built. This gives a new insight in everything else. Now we understand how the planets have a beat, how the stars have a beat, because they all have a plasma internally, and for them to exist, to switch from magnetical to gravitational, magnetical to gravitational, you need a beating, you need the heartbeat. Now the new systems we developed, which hopefully we might show it tomorrow in the teachings, is that process but in a solid state to create the heartbeat. These are all edge of the science, edge of the knowledge which we have gained, and in a short time, as we have seen, as Arman said, there is more to this technology. We have received permission from different governments for clinical trials, and in the next couple of weeks, we will start trials for cancer with 2 milliliter of the liquid of the plasma which we produce for 30 days. We are set to show that the cancer can be reversed totally. Any cancer, it's been tested, it's correct. Now we started clinical trial. Application of reversal of all sorts of things in respect to the health. Now we're teaching doctors around the world, and they are building the system themselves, and they are reporting what changes they see. In agriculture, we see from the agriculturists, people actually commercially working in agriculture are testing these materials without actually adding to the food, but using it as a fertilizer like, without any cost, and they see an increase in the harvest. But all this is more or less does not come to 5% of the total technology. This technology is a space technology. And those of you who know about our work, 90% plus of this technology comes in when we start lift without the fuel. A space technology where we travel without weightlessness, because now we have learned both the gravitational and magnetical fields. The next step is to create lift and motion, literally from the top of the roof of the building, anywhere around the world. This is what is there. And then the next step is, now we understand how the internal structure of the plasma works. We understand the position of the, for example, the Earth and the Sun. It depends on their gravitational magnetic field interaction. Now we create gravitational magnetic field inside the system, and this creates a positioning in respect to Earth. The position of the Sun in respect to the Earth is due to the strength balance between the two. Now we understand this, we know how to create gravitational field forces, or if you are a chemist, we know how to make alkaline and acidic very simply by adding literally or creating rotation. Now this has created new understanding. We have lifted before, and in this process, my target is as many people in the world can start creating lift and motion in the next maybe 3, 4 or 5 weeks. The actual process of the technology comes in. Though there are people amongst you in the room that they have started this process, transition of the matter into energy and creation of motion in that process. There are people in the room, they can explain to you, there are videos we can show you where we create the same condition as the internal structure of the Earth, and then in running the system, the internal structure energy moves outside, the outer layer of the core breaks open, and we cannot find the balls which are put inside. Number of people have reported this around the world, where we create energy that it can pass through the structure. This is a huge development, and you can test it yourself. It costs you less than $2 to do it. Maybe with $5 you can test it, you can understand the new energy which is released. It changes a lot of physics we studied. It changes a lot of things in the world of science we've been told. Now we have the knowledge to create the condition of the electron and the proton and see in reality how they interact. All the assumptions are through the wall, through the window now. We have the knowledge to replicate this real physical structure of a molecule. in magnetic plasma because you can create it yourself. This changes. There is a lot of fear. Why my work and my foundation and more or less all the Keshe Foundation teamwork around the world is being kept off the mainline news is because of the fear they have created about it. The fear, more or less, I explained this, is exactly what Edison did to Tesla. Putting an elephant on the board and showing that it can kill, so we have to be afraid of it. The problem is a lot of governments, a lot of multinationals know with this technology there is going to be changes, and they have not received the return on their investment. So they have to stop it. But I took a different approach. I went to public. I grew the technology amongst people. These are the housewives who make the material you see on the table as a pin. They can put it in a container, and they can see how their pain, they can use it as a pain releaser, as a pain pen. And we have received CE certification for medical use for these things. So we are falling in within the structure of the testing internationally, but we are changing the course. As I said, in a coming time, I don't see it, maybe maximum 3 to 5 weeks. There is no way any international organization can ban anyone traveling anywhere. You can do it. It costs less than $100. We done it. We were forced to stop with all the things which we received. Now people are doing it. I've chosen the path of freedom for the people, and people, the housewives who make these systems, and they save energy and they can feed their children. In Africa, now we have proven with 2-3 spoon drop of water a day, we have seen the eradication of the AIDS. Even the doctors can't find. The doctors go to the house of the people. What are you using that the AIDS in less than 30 days is not there? Because the technology works within the structure. We have taken river waters and we have shown within 10 seconds any germs in it has been destroyed. There is no germs. So if you understand these things, the next position for us is the space. We start showing the system as Keshe Foundation worldwide that we can lift without fuel. We can find position without fuel. Now that we start losing these balls from the center of the reactors, that nobody can find them anywhere. In one occasion, we have found them in a room which is next door with all the doors closed, because the energy allows it to pass through the wall and there is no sign of breakage. They create such a strong field around them that they literally go through it. It's just walking through the butter through the knife. There is nothing is left behind that you can see where it came from, where it goes. These are highly, highly applicable in defense. We can target and saturate a ball and literally target any craft in motion and release this ball internally inside it. And if you know how to target it, I know what to do, exactly what to do. I've done it before. And you release the energy inside the craft. Any latest model of whatever aircraft you have will be obsolete. You won't even find the pieces of it because the release energy is there. The defense technology of this plasma, as we are introducing it, it'll be detrimental to a lot of nations who invested a lot in defense. Because the latest, whatever you have, worth nothing. This is my message. I've given this message to world leaders. They are fully aware of my work, that all these latest weaponry we see, we can make them obsolete. That's the beauty of the space. Because all we need to do, we need to create a shield from these, the way these balls are going through the walls, they create a shield. You can put whatever you like around it. Put the latest communication line. One little tiny ball which can create a field can literally cut all the internal communication of the latest modern ships in the world with outside. Useless. Russians has shown part of my technology 2 years ago when they stopped the famous American boat. So you can jam, you can block, you can stop a lot of things, and this is where the space technology will come in. We are working with the Chinese for the development of these kind of systems that it can be used what we call as oasis system. In a time of disaster, a ball can create a shield, is your home. And it's been done. You can create from the same system water, you can produce from the same system materials you need, and you can create heat. So in the state, what I call the Fox News group have blocked this technology to be known. But outside, world leaders are well rehearsed about what we do. We are here to make a change. We were supposed to show what we call a hybrid energy, but this is irrelevant because even in less than a month through the development technology is obsolete already. You can build it at home. We released the blueprint and a number of people around the world already in less than 2 days, 3 days have started building it. That by tomorrow we showed before you come on how people around the world are start building it. So 90% of our work will be space. How we can travel at the speed beyond the imagination of present time. Now that we have learned we can create gravity at will, at the strength we need, and we can control it gradually as we add to the knowledge. We don't need to travel the way we do with the present space technology, weightlessness and everything else, because we can create gravity 1G inside the structure. We can develop these technologies very rapidly, and it's done by people. The governments have no more or less say in this technology. It's getting done, developed by the people, and in a way I did this deliberately that the knowledge cannot be shelved. The knowledge, this knowledge belongs to all of us. This knowledge has to be equal to all of us, and in a way we are setting the course for humanity, and nobody has any say with it because we are all part of it. Hundreds of thousands of people across the world build these systems, build these waters. When you go to a doctor and he says you have a cancer, and madam, I have no choice, you got the secondary cancer and you die, and nobody can tell you that I can drink a water, drinking water from the tap I put to a mixture, just the water of it, I sleep in that water, and in 30 days, 60 days, I have no cancer. FDA doesn't count. Nobody can tell you you cannot do it at home. This is where we are entering. People helping themselves. I always say, you're the last man standing. Nobody can tell you in a space, if they're the last one, if I want to try something, do I go to FDA if I receive the FDA approval? But this time we teach everybody the same. All the medical application, all the food application, all the material application is a byproduct which you see, but is for a space. In a space I should be able to produce what I need when I need. I can't come back to Earth and let's say I want aluminium or I want gold. In the last 2 weeks, what we call our new plasma scientists in Austria, using 2 rotating balls the way I taught them, they have managed to create metals, and these are going for analysis. They are gold. You can literally now create gold out of fresh air. It's the way it's done in the universe. How do you think the gold appeared on this planet? The gravitational magnetic field of the plasma which leaves the sun at certain point have a strength which is the strength of the gold, and in that position in the solar system it changes to gold. Nobody pours gold in. Now we understand the technology, you do what you like, and in a space we have to have this freedom. In the past we've seen, as I say, Teflon came with NASA because they produced it for what they wanted, and then it became to market. This technology in the next 6 months, in 2 years, will be the same as Teflon. People will produce. You can produce in the coming weeks more and more people. We will release the data from independent organization that you can produce as much gold as you like at home. It's a matter of days or hours. There are people who are producing it, and it's on the internet. People, they come and show you. We see people who are producing medicine the way that it can interact with the body. And these are the space technology application. This is where the change comes. And a nation and a government, when you are in Washington, have paid a deaf ear to what is on the table. You're going to get so hit so hard that there is no way you will ever recover. As a report for President Xi, they initiated scientists some 2 years ago to look at my technology, and the report of these scientists in a brief for the president of China was very simple. If China doesn't follow the new path of the plasma the way it's come from Keshe Foundation, soon will be third world nations beyond Africans, because Africans have taken it up. In a state you ignored us for whatever reason, and you're going to pay heavy for it. Because I can release your communication with the world leaders, with the Chinese and the others. They are going so fast with this, you have no choice. You have to understand the situation has changed, and you're stuck with it. You're totally stuck with it. Every possible way has been made by Jewish lobby to block us, but it's your loss, not ours. We put a hand of friendship out. We teach many Americans. They are learning. In the coming hours, in the coming weeks, the maglev system, which creates energy, you will not pay a cent for electricity to the government. It costs you less than $20, $30 to produce it. Would you pay $200, $300? Would you sleep in cold when you can just make it yourself in your kitchen? This is what it is. This is literally coming from grassroots. Where is your income going to go? Oil become useless. In next maximum 12 months, millions of Americans will build this system in their kitchen. The oil industry in the state is gone. At the moment, the same coil system, which you will see on the table, is used for reduction of the fuel, 40%, 50% reduction in your car fuel. Where is the oil industry is going to go? The people like Monsanto, we have shown it. We can reverse anything Monsanto has done in less than 10 minutes by mixing their seed in a water, which is natural water, and all the genetic has changed back to normality, back where it was before they got involved. So, American government, American nation, in so many ways you are falling behind so much that very soon you will go to Africa to bring things in. This is what we see is going to happen, because Africans are actually, now we are in the Atomic Energy Commission of African nation, and we are doing so much research and work there. In America, they block us for everything else, but amongst you Americans, there are so many American testing and developing. Those of you in position of power have to change your point, otherwise you have no shares in the companies. Oil will have no value in next 6 months, 12 months. As people start creating energy at home, people start using these systems, which is 10 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt, weighs less than half a kilo. Are you going to pay so much for oil and gasoline? No way will do. Are you going to the hospital to get a chemotherapy where you can create a water less than 10 cents, sleep in it? And these are the people who've done it. This has been done. This is not theory. We have doctors in the United States who are practicing this medicine, and they've seen the results with their patients. We have people in Washington. We have people in New York. They are started doing it because this is the way out. And we come to show you energy system. Unfortunately, due to the mechanical system has failed, but when we show the plasma system of it in next maybe 24 hours, when our research centers are ready to release it, you will see it's instantaneous. You can build what I call solid state, no moving part, for less than maybe $5, $10 for all energy you need. Because once you start creating energy this way, you change and convert the energy to materials you need. We have managed now to create plasma energy. Plasma energy is the energy of sun. It's plasma. It's got both gravitational and magnetical. Depending on one strength in magnetical and one strength in gravitational, it becomes gold, it becomes silver, it becomes cotton. Now we can produce anything. And this is where, as a nation, you're falling behind. It's sad to say, But those are who are around Keshe Foundation, they work, they've seen the work, and they tell you, somehow somebody has to decide, are you going to become a third world nation, or you become part of the moving very fast? If I move to China, which is very highly possible, your naval forces in China Sea worth pennies. You have to set what I call rowing boats to bring your latest modern ships, military back to United States, because even the engines will not work. I've explained this in my teaching, and it's very easy. All your systems carry chips. All we need to do, now we know how to create carbon out of fresh air, we need to change the carbon in one single microchip, which is very easy for us. People amongst you, they tell you we produce CO2 out of fresh air as a liquid, as a solid, which has never been heard. You block out 20 chips, your ships work nowhere. The defense technology in space I have developed not for military here, because in space I have to be able, if I go with a higher speed, nowadays you get a speck of dust hitting a satellite, can put it out of position. With this new technology, you don't have this problem. You create a shielding that it protects you. At higher speed, we need it. So we have two choices. Move on, or allow the organizations in America who know who we are, been trying for years to bring us into the United States, to move with their move. NASA has been trying to get us into NASA organization for years. I released the documents to the attorney today. I've given lectures in Johns Hopkins for the Department of Energy. Block. Now you lost. Look at this technology, understand it. Otherwise, in covering it up, it becomes a story of the, what do you call, the animals who put their head into the sand. They think nobody can see them because they can't see anything. And then they get shot on the butt. This is where America is going. If I move to China, which is on the option, if I move to China, Chinese, all the investment you've done in military worth zero. And somehow nobody's getting this in. White House knows, President Obama exactly knows who I am. Mrs. Clinton knows who I am. She signed my arrest for 13 days to be kept in Toronto airport for 11 days to be told I'm going to be killed. She signed my arrest paper to be held because they didn't want the technology to move somewhere. Your government knows. Now, if you don't move, the nation will know, but you have no choice. We came with the hand of peace, we came with the hand of friendship, but somehow your multinationals, they thought they can control everything, being from Fox News and everybody else. And I says, I'm very sorry to say, very soon, very, very soon, sooner than you can think, you have nothing to what you're proud of. I'm a nuclear physicist. I know my program. I know what I can do. We can literally stop all the nuclear warheads in their silos. All I need to do, I need to touch the microchip and just change one parameter. They never fly. In a recent meeting of the heads of states in past couple of weeks, my technology was discussed. I know because we get a communication from Chinese government. Russian and Chinese have accepted this technology has to come out. Americans are fumbling with it. What they're going to do with it, you're going to lose with it very heavy. The biggest problem you have is, or they created, is I'm an Iranian nuclear physicist living in Europe for 40 years. I still carry Iranian passport. I'm dangerous. Now the danger has come to rest with you. Everything you developed as a superpower worth nothing. Literally nothing. You want to test it, you give me the Phantom F-18, whatever you like, and give me 5 minutes. I'll bring it down like nothing. Your pilots don't even know what touched them. You give me the latest military battleship you have, and give me 10 minutes. It'll be floating with nothing. I can stop submarines in deep ocean, no problem. These are not threats. These are the developments of the technology which made the old obsolete. Chinese have it. Russians have shared it with them. The Iranians have shared it with both Chinese and the Russians. President Obama, I released the paper to the attorney today. On the 6th of November 2012, asked for the technology to be given. It sits with your government, the blueprint of all these designs. Where has the chip is gone to? With all the patents, everything else which was on in patent applications and all the designs. You're fooling yourself, and very soon you're going to pay very heavy for it. Very, very heavy. Because as I always say, look at this system. It looks like a pile of black stuff. At the moment, your scientists pay millions to make this black stuff. It's a nanomaterial in the purest form. And we make it with a few cents, and the Chinese, a 5 years old girl makes it in the toilet. This is how simple it is. And in America, everything is wrong with it. And soon, if someone in Washington does not start moving, in next 2-3 months, I promise you one thing, Chinese will take you on, and Chinese will show you, you have no air force, you have no military base to control anywhere on the high seas. The only choice is to go in the path of what we're negotiating with the Chinese on the military and the government, that we come to an arrangement, nobody fires nothing, we abandon military. It's very hard for a nation like you, because you rely on your military, but the time of wars are finished. It takes me 5 minutes. I can stand here. I've shown this to one of your guys who came to see me 2 years ago. I can jam any radar anywhere. When I do test myself, I inform the air forces I'm testing. Any flight above my property is no-go zone, because you don't know what's going to happen to you. And now the knowledge is amongst the people who are sitting with you now. There are a number of people amongst you who can show it to you. You are not going to be fantasy. There are people who are there who come to see the power unit. Just to be there to see it, I'm sorry, but maybe tomorrow morning, it's already videoed. You can see the video. It was done for Gordon Duff. He asked for it the latest before it was moved. Before they move it to Washington, it was taken picture of it working in the garden. And it costs, I don't know, $10, $15, you can do it. The process is, what I say, America, wake up, or the sleep will be very deep. You'll never wake up out of it, because the others are passing you. Look at the technology, what it's going to bring, and if you are in a position of getting to someone to see it, to develop it, there are Americans amongst you who can teach you very rapidly. We have masters like Armin, we have other people in the room. You have an American with you, Douglas. Give him the space, he'll show you how electricity is made in less than 10 minutes. And you don't need even to plug it in. And as I said, if you say you're going to tax a house for the energy consumption, as I said to people who follow me, tell the government how much gold will be 1,000. 10 gram, 100 gram, 500 gram of gold. Now we have shown it. I can ask for the video to put on. If you can see it on the screen, you can create gold, give the government 500 gram of gold. Situation has changed. And now that we release the energy, is a plasmatic energy. It becomes whatever you like. You'll find out my call is very, very correct to the American nation. Move up, start moving very fast, bring the technology to be taught on a television level. In China, we have hundreds of thousands of followers. In America, you keep it quiet, because it's not, as one guy said to me, if it's not in CNN, it's not true. By the time it becomes true to you, is in reality nobody needs. The effect of this process is, as I've explained very clearly, nobody needs any more American products. You cannot export a thing. People are making everything they need. Look in Africa. They will not import a single gram of fertilizers from United States. It costs them less than $2 to create the water from any metal on the street, in the house, and add it to be in the part of the water, and becomes fertilizer, it becomes pesticide, and everything else. We are not talking, this is done physically by farmers. They've seen the results. Now it's getting tested in universities in Africa. And in America, you're still busy with the religion, the color of the skin, and the way of belief. And you're going to pay heavy for it. I told you, I challenge you, give me any latest modern aircraft and 10 minutes. You tell me where you want it to land, or I tell you where I dropped it. You can pick it up. And if you rely on gold, I can show you a video made by Austrian man, and this week, next week, more people will start making it. You tell me how much gold you want in central bank, because people will pay you in kilos from now on. This meeting is a wake-up call in Washington. And if you don't wake up, the coma will be so deep you'll never get out of it. Thank you very much.
You're taking questions, right, Baron?
Pardon?
You'll be taking questions here, right?
With the greatest of pleasure, of course.
Okay, I figured it's fine.
Mr. Kesh, I don't think your video is working right now. I don't know if you intended that or not.
My video, I need permission. I need your permission to allow me. You don't allow me.
No.
It should be okay now. Okay, we'll try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
This says start my
It just
video.
comes up black right now, so.
Okay, I'm still in the same position. Yep, no, it's not allowing. You
Right,
have
so-
to promote me to be able, or when
No, I've already allowed you, but it just came up black for some reason. So there's something else going on there, maybe a background application or something.
Can you? No, it's a standard. We were live before, and is the camera check? No, if the camera is on, they should be on. I have chosen the camera. It says FaceTime. Yeah. Which one? Video setting. Plug it in, plug it back in. Okay, where do you want it to plug? From the laptop or from the unit? Okay, it's unplugged. It's plugged back in. It's the same.
You need to choose the device now.
I have chosen the device. It just doesn't give me anything.
Was that it?
Just blank.
Okay, it says camera setting. Yes, no problem. You can speak to Caroline. Ask any question you like, and I'll try to answer.
Yeah, see if we get questions here. Questions? I've got a question. I'll start it off. Okay, one of the things that I saw the letter from Obama to you today, which was almost like a threat. I mean, the United States is the greatest power on earth, and we can use our technology to defeat any enemy, and we're doing that now. One of the things that might have come through is some people who were listening to this who were not familiar with your work, is that you were essentially saying, hey, listen, my technologies can be used to defeat pretty much any military power on this planet. In which case, one response might be, well, oh no, ours is bigger than yours, or something like that, which, given my understanding of the technology, that's probably not true. But do you understand the objection that some people might have to what you're saying, that you can bring down these jets, you can disable these military ships and bring down the drones and things of that variety?
In so many ways, first of all, this goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. You said you've seen the letter from President Obama to me. And as you noticed on the letter, it's on the letter of the White House, on a private letter of the President, not the White House letter of President. It's a private response by the President Obama. And as he is fully aware of my work, as you've seen, it's addressed Dear Mehran. The problem is that the White House is fully aware of the work. Is when they choose to bring it out. And when they think they want to bring it out. The American government, you saw the letter directly from the head office of NASA 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You saw it today when I sent it to you. Endorsed by the notary of the NASA in allowing me to come into a state for presentation and talk with NASA, and blocked again by Washington. It's not that the government doesn't know what we do. It's just that they thought by blocking it, one day it goes underground and dies, but it's grown more and more. The problem is how much, how fast the American government will change position. We have shown the power of this technology to the American 3 or 4 times. Not just once or twice. When I met with the American officials, when they asked for the USB stick, which you saw the letter today, the email from the American embassy on the 2nd of November, they asked me one question. Can you explain to us how you managed to capture the drone? Because they know the drone, which is a famous drone by American captured, is used a very advanced technology of jamming. Literally, we brought it part of the capsule.
The one that got captured in Iran, correct?
Yes, and if you go back, I tell you something, there are people in the audience, you can go on the internet. On the 3rd of December, on the 26th of November, we were supposed to show the first flying machine in Philips Eindhoven Center. They came to my house, they told me you cannot fly the day before 26th, on 25th. And the officer told me, do you have a flying license? I said, no. It says it stays. When you get a flying license, then you can fly your car. I thought this was too below the belt because they wanted to discredit us. The following Saturday, I gave a talk in a fully packed audience in Ghent, in Belgium. And I said, for what you did with us the week before, we're going to show the power of this technology. It's all recorded, it's on the internet. The next day on the 4th, you lost the drone, which your president is in the news. He said, can we have our toy back? Because with the knowledge we have, the way we can capture your latest drone, 27 meter wide, long, 10 meter wide, a toy, it shows the technology has to be so superb and superior to do such a thing. You've seen the touch of my technology, but it's for you to understand how it's going to do. If we can capture the latest systems in yours, like a, God knows, a toy, as your president call it, you have lost all credibility in any field. As I said to your diplomat, he said, can you tell us how fast you travel? That's 45 years ago. I said to him, we passed your nation so many times, you don't have the technology to detect us. Your present radar is obsolete. Absolutely obsolete. And I can show it to you. A gentleman called Mike Harris, part of the, he's a, what I call Vietnam veteran. When he came to see me, I said he could feel it. This part of 1 meter, this side, you don't hear a noise. On the other side, you hear all the noise. We can jam anything now. Anything. It is some sort of, it's a grace of God. We haven't touched your military heavily in the world. I have no fear, because if the military stops, the wars stops, and then we spend the money on a peaceful application. And as I said, if a man like me receives a private letter from your president, it means they know who we are. Somebody's got to wake up in Washington, otherwise it will be too late. And if you want to know more, I've explained this before, your government knows exactly everything we do. They're on my teachings every Thursday. Every Thursday. And you can go on my teaching. I finish teaching in the morning by your time, 8, 9 o'clock. In the afternoon, your president issued a presidential decree on what I said is going to happen, that they can move to protect you about the earthquake. And now you have the test from it. It didn't come from nowhere. The same day, in the afternoon, because we explained what is to happen, the presidential decree was offered. So your people know in the highest level, it's how you're going to bring it into public. And we tried to show, like this presentation of the energy in the hybrid. It didn't happen. Maybe it was for the best. But in next 24 hours, 48 hours, we have a number of them working now. It's not just this one. We wanted to show this, made by an American, shown by the American, but unfortunately it wasn't time for America to see it. But most probably, if it stays, if you are from Johns Hopkins University, if you are from one of the universities in Washington, take him to a lab with you and let him build it for you. By tomorrow night you have the system free, and then teach your people. I'm not saying we're going to send people from Iran, we're going to do, can you open my video please? It seems to get fixed, but I need a permission to be able to share. So you don't need to rely on me. You have the masters of the Keshe Foundation amongst you. You have Douglas, you have Ahmed. They teach you. They go around the world. They teach every day around the world. They're teaching everybody else except the Americans who don't want to listen. Don't take them and wait. The beauty with this technology is the results are there within a few minutes, within a few days. You can test it. It's not that you have to wait for years. You have the assets, you are ignoring it. Your people are teaching the rest of the world what to do, and they are doing it. And inside America, you're shutting it down.
Your video should be on there, Mr. Keshe, or at least allowed to turn on. And we see a black screen. Is there anything over the lens, perhaps? Is there a...
No, it's open.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
No, there is something is not allowing us to use it. It was on. We had to switch off, switch on. We lost the camera.
While we're waiting for that, you want to explain what we have here on the table? So that people...
You have the master there, Armin and Douglas are there. They can explain to you. Would you like two of you to explain?
Douglas, on down. It'll be about 5 hours.
You go ahead.
As you see it now, part of it got shorted out this afternoon. That's the reason why we have the whole thing here with all the appliances. That's, as you see it, we'll do 5,000 with the minor additions. And the newer device is even smaller than that.
Can you speak louder? We can't hear you.
Douglas, begin.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Douglas.
For everyone that doesn't know me, my name is Douglas Edwards. I'm proud to be back here in the nation's capital. I haven't been here for 30 years. I was stationed in Belvoir. electrical engineering, air defense artillery. So, and glad to be back in the heart of the nation. I love this country, and I love the people of this country. Thank you all for coming out. With that being said,
the number is this.
What Mr. Kesh was trying to explain earlier is that I had broke the shaft. Well, it's not this one, but I can show you one just like it, maybe.
Douglas, bring it over here in front of the camera so they can see it.
They didn't have the top part of it off. There's a shaft inside of this little pump here.
We put it in front of the camera.
They can see it now.
Yeah, a little shaft there inside of the pump. This is just a pond pump. So nothing fancy. You plug it in this way to a wall, it makes water go out of your waterfall in your pump in your yard. If you cut the end of the cord off and you supply a source, a motor, which I use a 12-volt source, and actually this here rechargeable 12-volt Dremel tool. Nothing special about it. Just has a variable speed on it. This attaches to the rotor like this in a similar fashion. And what this does when it's engaged at 12 volts, it spins the rotor in here. This rotor is a 180-degree magnet, north and south. That's all it contains in there. When it spins, it produces voltage. The higher the RPM I go, the more voltage I can get out of this motor. This little pump in particular, we achieved in the lawyer's office today several times over 600 volts by using 12-volt DC, obtained 600 volts AC, and we achieved over 1,000 volts once. My meter shot the OL overload circuit on it. Both of them did. We've lit the bulbs up, and unfortunately, I was trying to do this. This needs to be mounted, so it's stationary. And trying to do this with the left hand and the right hand, and it just didn't work. And I ended up breaking the rotor in here. It's a ceramic magnet, so if it wasn't for that, I'd be able to put on a demonstration for you guys tonight and show you just real quick how we can get 600 volts out really fast.
And how many watts?
We can go up to I've reached 6 kilowatts so far. 3.5 to 4 easy. Getting into the 6, and the capacitors need to be added on, more capacitance.
Now, at what point can you disconnect the Dremel tool?
Like Mr. Kesh said, when the heartbeat occurs, this is a plasma reaction. It converts what we know as a vibrational electricity into a plasma electricity. And we all think of plasma electricity as, what modern day physics has taught us, proton, neutron, and all of this. And what we're learning is that plasma is the source that comes from the sun. The sun is plasma, and it feeds us. And in order for the sun to ignite, it has to have a heartbeat also. Just like Mr. Kesh was explaining, when you pump on our chest, the plasma goes through us and gives us life. And the plasma in us carries oxygen and all the things that we need in order to survive. Now, these coils do the same thing. They're nano-coated. And for the first time in the history of mankind, this procedure has been able to be done in atmospheric and room temperature conditions. Now, this process to doctors that are in here is known as wetting. I have titanium in my spine, and in order for any kind of metal to be implanted in the body, it has to be wetted. It has to be nano-coated in order for cells to not adhere to it, so your body doesn't reject it. That's what that all is about. So they nano-coat this. They've had this process for a long time, but they have to do it under special circumstances. Vacuums, high temperature, pressurization, and chemical processes. Now we have the ability to do this right here in front of you, room temperature, with none of these high state gadgets that they have that cost the taxpayers millions of dollars to do. We do this, like Mr. Kesh said, for cents. A little salt and some water, and 2 elements, and that's where we go. And we use each element for a different thing. Now the nano coating procedure allows these coils here to become superconductors. And I don't have the meter up here with me here. I'd show you. They do not carry any resistance at all, none whatsoever. So what happens with the nano coating process is it takes the copper wire, these are copper wires, and it basically puts an insulation around them, even though they're not insulated. But it allows the electricity to travel over it instead of through it. And when we nano coat something, it causes the surface area to what we call popcorn out. So instead of having a flat surface area to follow on electronic path, electronic vibrational path, it has many surface areas. It has many paths it can go. That's how it becomes the superconductor. And I have personally pulled over 20 amps household electricity through my 14 gauge wire, which is a physical impossibility. Any electrician knows this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've done the same through 24 gauge wire. Similar technology.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk out.
Yeah. Oh, yes. This, like Mr. Case said, was explaining that it popcorns, so it allows more surface area, so it allows more paths for the vibrational electricity, the voltage and the wattage to travel. So it can go in super fast speeds. And there's an entrance and an exit point. The entrance point being on this side and the bottom of the gravitational part of what's called the maggraph, and it goes through a set of capacitors. And this being the positive side, which would be what we call the magnetical. There's just a meter here, and we can show real quick if there's no resistance on here. We'll go to.
That's the answer to J.P. Morgan's question, I think. A meter.
We'll go up there. The whole world will see that if they can. I'll touch them right beside each other, and you'll see she'll zero down there. Zero down there. Zero down there. Now, see the difference? No resistance there. See, I touched two wires up here on the top of this coil that I'd seen where the copper was exposed. I'll do it again here in a second. If I can find them again. There they are. Yep. See there? The copper's exposed. It'll show a reading. Now, when the copper's not exposed, it won't show a reading.
And the gauge is set at what now? At how many?
It's at 2,000 kiloohms.
Okay. So that's a fair number. That's
it's a huge number.
2 mega ohms.
Yeah, it's quite a number there. It should have. So it shows the ability. Yes, sir. You have a question?
Is there continuity between your probe and this?
No.
Electric?
No, there's none.
Because it's insulated, right?
No, it's not insulated. It's nano coated. These are insulated. They have the factory insulation on them. The nano coating, you and I would consider insulation. Yes. I have the ability to hold this in my hand when 20 amps is going through it. It doesn't faze me at all. Now, if I ground myself, I can get shocked.
Is it the same type of shock?
No, it's not. No, it's a plasmatic shock. It's not a vibrational shock.
Right. You'll get into that this afternoon, and it's an important difference.
So if you hook that up to like producing 117 volts, the maximum you can pump out 50 amps.
Oh, there's no limit to this. We're just scratching the surface. There's no limit to this because of the plasma technology. And me being an electrician and a licensed master plumber, that's what I've done for the last 30 years after I got out of air defense. Knowing what I know about wires and solid state electronics, and knowing that this is the wave of the future, there's nothing like it on the planet. I was a man you're looking at physically that, like I said, I have a titanium fusion S5L1. 5 screws are still in my back to this day. Last October, I could barely move. I couldn't hardly move at all. I mean, I was just about wheelchair bound. My neurologist had told me that within 5 years I'd be paralyzed. I started using the Mr. Keshe technology regarding on healing the medical applications of the technology, and not so much focused on the energy, because I've been working with energy for years. I couldn't stand the pain anymore, and to me, anything was worth anything besides having to take a pill. I do not like medication at all. So Mr. Kesh has given me my life back. So, you know, in turn, I owe my life to him, is the way I look at it. Because I'm a father now. Again, I interact with my children, I interact with my wife. I can actually go to the grocery stores now. I can do things in the yard, you know, that I couldn't do before. I couldn't push my little son around on his bicycle, you know. So, you know, this is giving me my life back, and it's you know, and that's just the medical aspect of it. And there's so many different good qualities about this technology that I could sit here and talk all night and couldn't list all of them. There's no way. Just with the things that we have available now to us. And like I said, we've only scratched the surface. This is just the surface. The plasma energy is the like Mr. Kish said, it's the atom of the future. You know, and that was kept between a few people. You know, now we were going to have the whole world involved in this. So imagine what we can all do to this with this when we come together and start putting it under different applications and different testing procedures. But back to the explanation of the maggrav, like I said, it becomes a superconductor that allows the electricity to become in a plasmatic state instead of an electronic vibrational state. And like he was asking earlier, yes, it will give you an electrical shock. It's not the same thing though. It's not grab you and do this. It's a really high frequency. I'm sure some of you remember some of Tesla's writings, maybe not, but he spoke of a higher frequency electricity to allow him to hold 1 million volts. Well, this is basically the same thing. The higher vibrational electricity, this converts back down to usable electricity. So it switches it back and forth, and it does it in a plasmatic state. You can hold the wires in each hand, and like I said, they don't shock you. It's the copper wires that we call these matter here. To us, this is still a matter form of wire. So when we have a matter form and a nano form, and we call it grounding ourselves, we can get shocked that way. But just to hold the wires, I can hold my coils all day long while they're running and never feel a thing.
So to power appliances, how would you connect this up?
With this, the maggrav itself would plug into the wall, and the plug-in, the different appliances that you would plug in would be in the outlet section here.
This goes into the 117.
Yeah. 120, and if this is set for the United States, they come in both models. The 220s mostly all over the world, except for us, we're 110 single phase. But yes, this appears to be a single phase 110 unit. And that's what you would do. You plug it in, and you get your load here. Now, what Mr. Tish is explaining is the heartbeat, the trigger. You know, it's a pump. I call it the paddles. You know, to shock somebody back to life.
60 cycles.
Yeah, 50 to 60 is usually where the hertz starts making electricity that we call usable. It gets into the higher frequencies, and it's still usable, but it's a different kind of electricity. You have to bring it back down to I've noticed this in my experiments, that I've had to bring the hertz back down to 50 to 60 in order to get vibrational electricity, because most of our electronics and things that we deal with every day work in that frequency range and have since Tesla. So that's one of the things that we will overcome hopefully in the future, you know, as things move on towards the plasmatic state. You know, we got plasma TVs already, so plasma monitors, and there's so many more plasma devices out there that they'll soon eventually interchange, and solid state electronics will be of the plasmatic nature. My foreseeable future anyway. These capacitors, if you can see those, I'll try to stand that up for everyone there real quick. Pretty sure I already got that on very good. You can see the capacitors here, and I've got running series instead of parallel. And these are special made capacitors. They're plasma capacitors. They're not like a matter state capacitor. They're not an electrolytic capacitor, and they're not a gel type capacitor. These are a nano state capacitor that's made out of a nano wire and a GANT solution, and a separator, a barrier, like any capacitor, and a conductor, like any capacitor. And when the voltage is applied, on one end, it comes out at the other end, except it turns it from vibrational electricity into a plasma. It works with the maggrav in conjunction with each other to produce a usable amount of electricity. Now, I've learned, and this is my own personal experience, that the more of these capacitors that I've added to my system, the higher kilowatts I can go up. It's the coils, I've never had a problem. Like I said, I went over 20 amps and not even phasing. So I knew that the direction to go into would be to add the capacitors to the system in order to gain the kilowatts. So that's where I started with my endeavor of being able to bump these two back together. And in the middle, I call it an infinity loop. In the middle there is what Mr. Kesh calls and refers to as a free plasma in the infinity loop. Look at a figure 8 sideways. And in the center there is the free plasma. And the best way I can explain this to you is on one side of this infinity loop, I make a negative, and on the other side of the infinity loop, I make a positive, and I make my load there. And I can do this with 2 other devices, and I happen to burn them up today, and I truly am sorry. It's really my fault, and I apologize to each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. I've worked really hard, meticulously for months on this, and to have all this fall apart on me in 3 days has just really done something to me psychologically. Because I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for all of us, all of humanity. This is a gift. I look at it as a gift from the Creator, and if we need to take advantage of and use it to the best of our abilities, learn all that we can about it, test it, put it through even more rigorous tests than we already have, and now the blueprint's out and available. And like Mr. Kesh said, we've already improved on the blueprints that are out there. We're already working on a different system altogether, and the technology will keep going like that, just like Tesla did back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He didn't let Mr. Edison get the best of it. He kept going. He kept producing. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have what we've got today. So I look at Mr. Kesh as our Tesla of our generation. He's brought us something that we really need to look further into and take advantage of the technology that's available to us. I'm living, walking proof. My neurologist will tell you I'm not supposed to be standing here in front of you right now. There's no way.
Douglas?
Yes, sir.
On what some of the people here have not seen the video or not familiar with what you had connected to this device, and in 5,000 watts for some people is a relatively abstract concept. Okay, so can you explain of what you did in order to get this this device, as you see it right here,
Yes.
to output 5,000 watts?
Not a problem at all.
Without any connection to the electrical outlet, or to a battery, or to a nuclear power plant, or anything like that?
Yeah, no nuclear power out.
Okay, you don't have.
I had 3 CFLs, which ends up being mine were 18, so they were 54 volts.
A CFL is a compact fluorescent light.
Yes. Sorry about that. So I had 54 watts on the CFLs alone, and I had a 50 watt flat iron, so that was 100 watts. I had a 1500 watt fan forced electric wall heater, 110 volt that you plug into the wall, and I had a 1500 watt hair dryer. Most women know that hair dryers are 1500 watts on high. I had this plugged in. I had a standard refrigerator, which is has a startup capacitance of anywhere between 500 and 800 watts, and a run capacitor that's about anywhere from 70 to 85 watts. And I had a dorm refrigerator also hooked up to it, which a little bit lower on the wattage, 3 to 4 on startup, and about 50 to 60 on the run. With all these units, and a panini maker, I call it a grilled cheese maker,
And a microwave oven.
And a microwave oven, yes. I had all of these loads on there, and I used the startup the initial startup was a 5.76, and the continual run cycle was 4.6 kilowatts. And we kept it running. I had it running in the house for a month. I just shut it off at night and turn it off. I'd actually just unscrew the bulbs like this. I'd leave the system running. Harmon's got bulbs that plug in, mine unscrewed, but I just unscrew the bulbs.
I'm wondering if you want me to play the video in the background. Would you be able to see it on the laptop there? I could keep the sound down. You could narrate it, perhaps. Would that work?
They can probably hear it. I'll put it up on your screen.
Whatever you think's best, Rick.
Armin, do you want? Are you around? Armin?
Armin walked over there. What do you need? What do you need from Armin?
Where are you headquartered?
Oh,
Where am I headquartered?
then, where is the Keshe Foundation?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I live here in the United States. Born
In Missouri.
Yes, in Missouri. Born and raised in Southwest Kentucky, a veteran in Würzburg, Germany, and came back home and been back ever since.
You can see the video in the background, the pictures of the video, the setup.
Okay, now I can explain this better.
Yeah, well, why don't I keep the sound off in the video? You can just explain it direct there.
That'll be
Just
fine.
let it play, please. Let the video play.
You see
With
that?
the sound, Mr. Kesh, or without the sound?
Without the sound, because he's there
okay.
live. He can talk.
Okay.
You'll see the yellow gun. There's a thermal indicator. It reads thermally. I've got it set for Fahrenheit. This is a standard refrigerator, which what I mean by standard is just a regular residential single door refrigerator. Compressor, the 3 light bulbs, my capacitors, and you can see the blank spot right there because I burned out one of the capacitors putting such a huge load on this device. My MagGrab unit in the back here, you can see, which is this right here, the MagGrab. And you can see over here on my strip that
Rick, can you run the video run, please?
Okay.
As you can see over here on the strip, my plug-in strip, I had to actually use a pair of needle nose vice grips to keep the surge protector from tripping. The wires won't burn, they won't melt, but it will trip the surge protector. You can see the one wire right there is a 20 gauge stranded wire. Pulling right here at the startup was close to 6 kilowatts. That's a 800 watt sandwich maker. Like I said, I call it a grilled cheese maker. This is where I'm showing the connections coming from the back of the capacitor and how the hot load comes into that capacitor right there, the first set of capacitors, which would be right here. It would come into this first set right there. That's where the hot would come in. And then the negative comes in through the bottom, and this comes back out for your load. So if we were going to use that strip, and this black being the hot, the black would go in on this side right here. And then your ground would be connected to your neutral source. Now, in my particular setup here, I drove a ground rod in the ground, just a 2.5 foot piece of copper with a 12 gauge copper stranded wire. And I drove number 4 gauge solid copper wire and drove it into the ground. You'll see it here in just a little bit to the left there. Rick's there's the wire. He was trying to get it there.
You have to, Douglas, you have to follow with the video, otherwise it doesn't make sense when you're pointing to things on the table there when people are watching the video on the live stream and so on.
Okay, I'm trying to
the ground, right?
Yeah. So there's me pointing at the ground, and like I said, it's a number 6 solid copper wire, and there's the other compressor. Now, and this is me showing that the compressor is working. I took the snifter valve out of it so you could hear it suck and blow. So you could tell that it was working. They're very quiet. There's the hair dryer. There's the other strip that I had to use to plug the hair dryer in because I ran out of so many strips. This is me showing that I'm having to put the vice grips on the strip to hold it down so it doesn't trip. Now then, with all of this going, like I said, we were at right at 6 kilowatts. After the compressors kick on and drop down to the run stage, it ended up at 4.6 kilowatts is what the total run was. And here I'm showing now that the heaters are on, and this one's fixing to be on. I just turned it on. They're at 1500 watts, and you can see the fan moving, and you'll see the thermal indicators here in a minute where I measure each one of them's temperature to show that they are actually on and producing heat. You can see on the voltmeter there, I've got 111 and 112. When you start getting into the higher loads, especially with the 3 capacitors, because I burned one, I started losing a little bit of voltage. I actually got down to 104 before it was all over, before this test was over. The voltage had dropped to 104, but that was because I had lost a capacitor.
You're saying that there's really no theoretical upper limit out of that?
There's no limit.
Is that what you're saying?
I haven't found one. No, I really haven't. And I've tried.
When you say there's no upper limit, in other words, instead of 6,000 watts of power, you could theoretically generate 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000.
This has the potential of probably 30 megawatts. I mean, for real.
In other words,
let me explain, if you allow me. You're dealing with superconductors. The current doesn't flow through the copper wire. The current, plasmatic current, flows through the nanomaterial. There is no friction. This material, the way we produce it, is you can use it for a zero-time communication if you know how to use it. We have an idea that is the copper and thickness of it. When you run a very high voltage and current through these wires, you see the material inside melts, but the nanomaterial coating holds, and it's a superconductor. What you see as a black material, this is at least between 30 to 50,000 layers of atom line on top of the copper, but is made of the copper itself. This, the Ministry of Defense of United Kingdom released a paper a year ago in Farnborough saying that this is one of the most perfect absorbing material. It absorbs 99.999 of any wavelength of we know in our vocabulary of science. Because atoms now are distanced from each other, they are positioned layer by layer. When the field comes, it gets trapped in these kind of material, and it doesn't reflect back. That's why it looks black, and is one of the best capacitors. So when you look now to get energy, you go and buy a fuel. But if we have developed a technology that the outer layer of this material we can put in the salt water, it comes up as a single atoms. We call it GaNs, which is gas in nano state. And then if you put this GaNs, when you freed it as a free energy, paint it back on the same black material, now it gives you the possibility to absorb energy, not from only the material you coated on, from the whole of the universal energy. So there is no limit. We create energy beyond imagination. We don't create, we absorb energy. Because every single one of these materials is like a sun. It has gravity and magnetic field. Let me explain to you why there is so much mystery around this. And it's been said by the American government, we cannot give you a Nobel Prize because the Iranian nuclear physicists can never get it. We have discovered the gravity. That's what's the secret. What gravity means, you can absorb anything to yourself. Has been the biggest holy grail of the science. If it was done by an American, it would have been everything God knows what. But unfortunately, the arrogancy has literally kicked back for those people who don't understand it. Because this is understanding gravity, and you can absorb any energy you need. You go to an oil well, you go to the sun, you create nanomaterials, the way we do, you go to the energy of the universe. And that's what the change is coming. We don't need, we can absorb what we need by the material we need. And that's why it can produce so much energy. They absorb energy from the universe, and it's nano layers, so it surfaces on a zero friction. The material he showed you from outside, if you go to in, is super resistor. When you go along it, is the best superconductor we ever known. It's been tested by the universities.
In the video here, is this being run by the Dremel machine, or is it?
No, there is no Dremel. It's taken away. It's self-sustaining. It'll go for hundreds of years.
This is version 1. This was my initial setup to create the pulse. I use 2 compressors now, like I was telling you earlier.
Can you stop the video, Rick?
An infinity loop and tap into the loop.
So I'm gonna pass this around so you can pull on this and feel the magnet that's there, which is what is actually generating the electricity to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Except that the plasma energy to generate the electricity is actually coming from the Keshe generator.
Yes, exactly.
Now, when somebody gets
Can you switch back over to Douglas's screen so you can see what's going on here?
They plug it into the wall, and then how long do they have it plugged into the wall before they can unplug it from the wall?
There's variables. I have noticed certain wires that they'll nano coat the wires where you plug it into the wall. It goes back into the wall, all the way back into your grid to the panel, and it will nano coat your wires inside the wall there, and they will become superconductors. Eventually, your entire house will become nano-coated, so it will become a superconductor, thereby cutting your electricity bill to virtually nothing.
That's if you're still.
Can I say something which is a step further?
Yes, please.
We are now at the stage of development where we don't need wires anymore. We are working like a telephone line, like a mobile phone. We are developing slowly a wireless energy system, which means in the house you leave a unit in the wherever you like, and the rest of the house there is no need for wiring. We already have achieved most of and all of this. I can do it for you in no time, but I've left it to the people who are around the foundation to bring it, that then there is nobody's life in danger. Even the wiring we talk about that it gets nano-coated is already obsolete. The wireless communication, the way we see with mobile phone, is at our hand now with this technology. In no time I can show it to you. People in the Innovation Center in Philippines can explain to you. We can develop. All we need to do, we need a system to create a gravitation field from the field which is coming from the mother, and it just receives it. In the next few months, we don't see any need for recharging. And Bernie, are you online by any chance? Do we have Philippine online? Yeah. Can you promote him, please? Bernie, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Keshe.
Yes. Would you like, Bernie is from the Keshe Foundation Innovation Center in Philippines, and he is working on more or less wireless energy transfer. Could you explain to us what you see with energy and what you see with the automotive, please?
Yes.
Mr. Keshe, tell Bernie to talk up. We're having a storm here, and it's quite hard to hear now.
You have to speak up.
Okay. With the device, we were able to influence the combustion engine to perform much better than it is performing. It can reach up to, during our testing, we're able to verify 34 meters distance that we're still able to influence the vehicle to perform very well. We are limited to that distance because we hit the wall on the next building. So from our understanding, we can go beyond this. Maybe we can cover an entire city for this. The engine responds very well when the device is switched on or activated. There is no wire connected to the engine. There is no mechanism to add fuel. It's all about the fields created by the system. It is a wireless system. We call it wireless because we did not connect any wires to the engine. The engine, just leave it as is. Any cars around it will be affected. That's how it works. And we managed to, yes?
Could you explain to us about the energy transfer for the house? With the system, the generator which you are building now, the miniature system.
Okay, the small one. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Then our next development, we have this mag-grav system, a small one, small size, around 2 inches in diameter, outer diameter. The one you have there on the table is around, it's a bigger one. You imagine a 2 inches diameter, the smaller one. Yes, we are on the next stage on the development of this. And in this development, we have a built-in, I would say, a heartbeat unit that would initiate the pulse once you assemble it.
Is it possible you could show us the system?
I can show a photograph. I have. Can we show this the photograph?
Share a screen, please. Yes, too.
Okay, let me open the photograph.
If you can show, then they can see how far the development is. And this is what I told you just a few minutes ago, that we can capture and cover any environment with communication. And now you heard Bernie, 34 meters, and because there is a wall, they couldn't go any further. You can cover to reduce energy from engine. You can see how further back we can go to stop any line of communication.
Mr. Kirsch,
yes.
Is the unit that we're going to show the one with the heartbeat, or the one with the wireless?
Show them both. We are here to show, let the Americans understand we are free in sharing knowledge. This is worth billions in any language if you put it into operation.
Okay. So the paper where the copper units are put on is a short bond paper. It's a short office paper, short bond paper. You see the scale there, how big it is, the coils. So we have this. We can increase the capacity of this capacitors here according to what we need to the system to do. These two here facing each other is what we call the circuit that can resonate with each other like a heartbeat.
It has the 4 chambers of the heart, if you notice.
Yes. And they are connected in such a way that they will respond with each other from and like a pulse,
This replaces the refrigerators which you've seen in the other system. Sorry, carry on.
Also have, Mr. Kesh, we also have, after during the time Douglas was there, we further developed, and we have literally translated what Douglas already have there in that form into a completely solid state.
That's what I explained in before. Now you're confirming. We don't have any moving parts. This is the next generation.
Yes, and we understood it very well. We can improve it much better next time.
This configuration on the table can give you anything 10, 20, 30 kilowatt. And literally, when it's assembled, is the size of a Rubik cube.
Yes, you can simply put all these units, the standing capacitors, around the box and put the coils, the circular coils, inside the box in the middle. And that will do. A very small unit.
Can we see the wireless system, please?
Yes, I'll get the photograph.
Yeah. So You can see the technology, what I told you, we can show it. It's not a dream. It's not something it might happen. And this is a development in less than a month. In a few days' time, most probably in a maximum a few weeks' time, you will see what we call the flying system with no fuel. Because if you understand now you can produce energy in a plasma form, then you understand you can travel the space exactly the same. You create a plasma of gravity or magnetical. And then you attach anything to your system, you have a shielding, which is the atmosphere, and you get pulled or rejected. You can, this is what I said, and the American government has paid a deaf ear to it. In a very short time, Africans with the most, whatever call it, even a piece of wood, would end up in front of the Washington White House using this technology, and they're developing it very rapidly. Africans are actually outrunning anything else in their development, because they don't need the fuel. Their fuel time is gone, it's finished, it's over. And now you see it, because all you need to do, you need to add one piece to this Rubik Cube, the Rubik Cube will fly. It's just one piece, less than 10 cents cost. But the foundation people are working around it, it'll be shown very, very soon. And if you can put it on a piece of wood, you don't need to get on a boat, risk your life. You fly from anywhere in Africa to the middle of the White House, and nobody will even detect you. The situation is very different, and it's time for those who have kept you asleep to wake you up. This is a totally wireless system. Would you like to explain, please?
Okay, what you have there, a photograph of 3 units. These are 3 units. So each triangular form is a single unit. That's all you need, a single one. I have 3 here in a photograph because this is the only photograph that I have that is clear. You place this unit near the car, and it will change its performance. And you move away from the car at some distance, it will continue maintain that newly improved performance. So but these are small bottles. These are 25 ml bottles with coil inside and liquid plasma. This is the water that is with GANs. The water on top of GANs. When you make these GANs, this nano material GANs, the water where you place this is what we put in here in these containers. This is a very small device. Imagine these are individual 25 ml containers, so it can fit in your palm.
We can even reduce this to a pocket size, the same energy.
Yes, we have a small version of this. And making a bigger version, you don't need, just a small one will do. Because it can produce, for as long as the configuration is correct, yes, it will create a field. The last testing we have 34 meters. That's only the radius. It's not the diameter, it's the radius that it can reach that far.
Thank you very much, Ernie. Thank you very much for being there. Now, in reality, you see the whole thing has changed. I spoke, I explained, now we can show you. And it costs nothing. A few pieces of wire. And very soon, in next few days, when we release the technology as a whole in its next step, what you spend, even if you reduce your fuel costs by 40–50%, you will feel the difference. And anybody can do it. This is the beauty of it. We teach that the layman on the street can do it. Any other question?
I guess it's time to get to work. It's our next step, right?
Pardon?
So our next step, what's our next step? Get to work?
I don't know. That's, I think, what's going to be a decision made in the White House, isn't it?
to build these technologies and develop the new ones. And if they're as inexpensive and simple to build as they appear to be, then we'll let the people do it. We don't need large manufacturing companies in order to do it.
Let me explain to you. I've had meeting with a lot of American companies over years. I met with General Electric some 7-8 years ago in Brussels, and the guy says to me, he said, we are selling so many of these windmills and we are fully booked on our hand to sell windmills. We'll leave it till your technology become known and then we consider it. Unfortunately now there is no windmill and there is no job left for them, because this is what they've done. We shown this to Boeing. Boeing has got a full flight system there. They wouldn't even take it into their building. They saw it outside on the pavement because they could not believe such a thing happening. The people from NASA are fully aware of this technology, but the only thing is they never had a key. And I'm releasing the key gradually worldwide that everybody has it. I've got no choice. In next 2 weeks, 6 weeks, we have to release the flight key. We have to. There is no other option, because now people produce plasma energy, and the plasma energy sooner or later will lead to flight. It's inevitable. The flight is not that you're going to fly. In the system, you create gravity and magnetic field. It has to find its position in respect to Earth. You call it a flight. We call it positioning, magnetic gravitational positioning. It's inevitable. In next few days, anywhere, and once we've seen it, we teach and somebody comes up and shows it, the rest will follow. And I tell you one thing, I think somebody amongst you is about to achieve it, but he doesn't see it. And they know I don't teach unless somebody gets to it. Armand, living in Los Angeles, he's literally on the verge of it. I won't guide him to fly, because then it'll be one way. He has to do it. But in Los Angeles, if the gentleman who's there, who introduced me, moves in the right direction, he is hovering right a flight system for nearly a year, but somehow he doesn't see it. And it'll be an American done. The way as we brought you, if I want to show this technology in Japan, I have Japanese to do it. We don't need to send people. That's how much we are homegrown in every direction. You have no choice. The situation, it comes in a direction that we gave a lot of chance to the world nations, the leading industry, to lead, but they saw it as a loss of profit. Now you lose. You can attend our conference on the 17th, 18th, 19th of October in Ghana. In Ghana Atomic Energy Commission is done by Keshe Foundation, Ghana Energy, and we show the development of this technology only in Africa, in 1 or 2 nations. And you'll be surprised. You are still looking for money to do research for whatever. Now the Africans with few pennies, what you've been looking for hundreds of years, tens of years in universities, achieve it with few pennies. And they are free. They come and show it to everyone. And you need patent and the permission. We have buried the patent process because we share it so openly that nobody can patent the technology anymore. But on the other hand, this is a space technology, and these are the fallout from new technology. I tell you something, there is somebody in your room, if he's carrying a water from the liquid on the black stuff, you burn yourself with a matchstick or burn yourself with a lighter, and one of us will spray it with this liquid. In less than 2 seconds you won't feel any pain, and you will never feel a pain till the whole skin heals. Now we are testing in Italy in September, from 5th, 6th of September, the liquid which you made from copper, we are taking into operating room that the surgeons don't need to send the material for sterilization. The doctor, most of the contamination and infection in the operating room comes from handling. The doctor can put his hand in the water, put all the cutting tools, whatever he uses for surgery in the water, just take it out, do the operation and put it back in. It's shown in research instantaneously within less than 5 seconds. Any known germ viruses are killed or changed that they are not doing any damage in the operation hospital. This is what we're going to do in Italy in the coming time. And what we do, we have received certification and confirmation for it. We are not doing it because it's tested. They've tested it. We give our materials to be tested, rigorously tested. If you look at the Maghreb unit in front of you, the white one, this has got certification from EU. And we have received additional certification in past few weeks from SGS that it can be exported to the countries which accept SGS certification. Everything is not theory anymore. It's working, but we don't understand what is wrong with your country. Well, what the heck is going on in that country? I don't understand. Put it this way, I think the pride, the false pride has made you blind. This is the problem. This is where it's going to sit and it's going to hit very hard. As you know, there are thousands of people watching this broadcast. It's not just you. And some of these are the military leaders of China. They came. I invited them to come and have a look. I invited the Chinese and Russian leadership to look tonight. I said we're going to show to the Americans how far they're falling behind. It's your pleasure because you know where you are. You are not sitting on your own. I can call upon numbers, names on the board of control room, and head of militaries will introduce themselves. You are falling behind, beyond imagination, and nobody's waking up. No one. And you'll pay for it heavily. In a way, it's to our benefit, because when you fall behind, we can disarm you much easier. And we are going in that direction. We will disarm American military in no time, without a single bullet being fired. New plasma technology doesn't need bullets. All we need, we change the field environment. And somehow, I would love to, I promise I will not do, but I can call upon the some of the Chinese military people to introduce to them that are watching you. In so many ways, you have become a laughing stock of the science which is going on, and you put your head in the sand and you don't see it. I didn't come to show you a generator. I came to wake you up, and I hope you wake up. Somebody in Washington wakes up, somebody in the United States wakes up, and you will understand you're falling behind very, very heavy. And it's getting developed by the Americans. You don't need to import it. The threat is very real, but the threat is that you become a third world nation as the other ones are passing you. You're so under false pretenses that you are a superpower. You're actually the most bankrupt nation. Look what the American government released on the day of opening of the Olympic, how much debt you have. They can't tell the nation in an open time when it's peaceful or there is no excitement that we have somehow 600 whatever billion trillion dollar debt. They have to hide within the news of a sport. This is how bad it's become. But what is the reason? We've been negotiating with NASA since 1984 for development of this technology. I have communication. I showed some communication from NASA in 2011-12 in respect to the space. Your space technology is obsolete. Absolutely obsolete. We flew in Tehran, we created lift in Tehran on the 28th of Shaban in 2008 when I was in Tehran. Now imagine if Iran managed to become one of the super nuclear powers in less than 15 years, you can imagine what they've done with the space technology in the 8 years. I have to wake you up, because if I don't wake you up, you become victim of your own ignorance. And somehow, maybe, as my wife just said, maybe it was a blessing that you didn't get absorbed by the energy unit and just go there, you've seen a new energy unit. It's a bell ringing for your nation. And if you don't wake up, you're going to get hit very badly. If I move to China, I give you 3 months before you cannot fly even. You not fly, you don't have the system to fly a single aircraft. I warned about this 6-7 years ago. All you need, the gentleman told you, diameter about 70 square meter. The size of the thing is less than 10 centimeter in diameter. You create the right field, you jam everything. Russians have shown you the power of this technology less than 2 years ago. Now you see the cause of it. Now you have the technology of it. Use it for medicine. You walk in, within 30 days, no cancer. You're spending billions on chemotherapy and it comes back and secondary cancer. This sorts the cancer in all parts of the body, irrespective of. How many children are dying because of the lack of food? Now we can transfer food into the water. We've done it. There are people amongst you who can show you. You can transfer all the energy of the orange into a water and drink the water. You feel it, you taste it, you smell the orange, and you receive the energy of orange. This false superiority is going to cost you very heavy in the coming weeks and months. Extremely heavy. The position is Africans are going very heavy in the development of the space, and it costs less than $20, most probably even less, to be in center of Chicago or Washington or wherever, and you can't say anything because you left yourself open. It's time to understand this is on the broadcast. People can show you, I can ask the way we ask just to be seen, show you videos of people who have lost. The gentleman, Douglas is in front of you. He was one of the first one reporting he lost the ball in one of his tests. Would you like to explain it, Douglas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Kesh. The cores he's talking about, mine was a quad core, and manipulate the pH in the core to create field interactions with the other cores. In doing this, I have a 2-speed motor, one about 25 to 3,700 RPM, and the other one is about 10,000 RPM. The core was stable at 2,700 to 3,000 RPM. We started getting a nice toroid effect. For those of you that don't know what a toroid is, it looks like a donut. Magnetic fields, just like the Earth, going in the bottom and coming out the top. We were getting a real nice effect, and I increased the RPM up to 10,000. And as Mr. Kesh explained earlier, the ball wants to immediately, because of the interaction with the pH, the hydrogen, the ball, the reactor, the whole reactor wanted off the ground, and I was trying to stop it. I had no idea it was going to lift. It startled me. And when I went to grab it, the ball flew up straight in the air, hit the ceiling, smashed, and it took me and my wife about a couple hours there for sure of looking around, and we had finally given up and found it in the living room, and the door was closed, and it was behind the couch, which is be an impossibility. You know, we would have had to actually walk out into the living room, turn left, and throw it behind the couch. So there's no other explanation but the core went through the wall. It created its own field. Like you said, the outer core that was base and acidic, or acidic and alkaline in equal measures with CH3, and it was dispersing. And at first, I thought the core was cracked, but it's not. This is how this works, how Mr. Kesh explained earlier. When the water leaves, you know, when the liquid leaves, then the lift starts to occur. And I've witnessed this several times now, even with lead. So when the liquid was gone, I let it. He told me to let it run. I was scared. He said, "No, let it run, let it run, let it run." So I did. I let the liquid run out of it, and when the liquid came out, like I said, it flew. She went off on her own. She was gone. I couldn't catch it quite enough. My wife was standing from this young man here behind me, sitting. She was sitting on her chair, watching this and helping me with some nano stuff at night after the children go to bed, helping me catch up on some things. And she said, now to me, everything was in real-time motion. This part I don't understand. Everything was, I jumped up out of the chair and grabbed the cord. It scared her so bad that she's afraid of the cores, because she said that everything I was doing was in slow motion, like I was being replayed on TV, like a football replay, that I was moving just really slow. And it kind of scared her, it shook her up pretty bad. She couldn't explain it, and Mr. Kesh explained to us what it particularly in that instance had happened, is that I was in another field, and the ball, I was in the same field that the ball went out of, but I didn't go in the field with the ball, and she was witnessing this. She was witnessing this interaction of the shift, of the dimensional shift there, and that's the way it was explained. And this has happened every time I've done this now, 3 times, and I've explained to the young man back here, call him young, with the new heavy element that I've got, a thorium of 232, that I've still managed to be able to do this, to make this float, and also lead, and to raise them both up off the table. The last one we got off about 6 to 8 inches before it completely come apart. So we're right there.
Thank you very much. You have Armand with you. He lost a ball last week in testing. The same process. Number of people around the world. It's just a mixing water with each other. Nothing else. We are not talking about expensive fuel. We are talking mixing a combination of water together, and he achieves gravity and lift. And there is plenty of free water in Africa. And working very rapid. Any other question?
Richard? Well, I got one.
Yes.
If y'all can get the parts you need before you head out of DC, you're welcome to demonstrate this at the Defense Threat Reduction Agency or Belmore.
Pardon? Who's speaking, please? I can't hear you. Could you explain who you are, and if you don't mind? And I can hear the question. Pardon?
Active duty Army Major Todd Hathaway from the Defense Threat Reduction Agency out of Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
Yes.
Half an hour from here.
Yes. And what is your question?
It's an open invite through the end of the month to demonstrate any technologies you would like.
You have to go and ask your president if he allows me to come in to demonstrate. With the greatest of pleasure.
We can do it here.
Yeah.
No.
We don't need you to come into the United States unless you want to make that a condition.
You set up a parameters. What do you want to see? What do you want us to perform? And step by step. The beauty of it is we are not going to inform. We are not going to do it for you. We teach it, you will do it. It takes you 2 days with the people in that room to teach you how to make everything. With the knowledge you have, I have met with the Marine Corps of United States based in London deeply regarding this technology. They said it's the biggest destructive technology in military force we ever know. We don't know how to handle you. We teach you. You arrange a time in this room. We come, you come, we tell you what to bring, you make it. Then you can't tell nobody else who's done it. And with the knowledge and expertise within the American military, you will achieve 1,000 times better than we did faster technologies. I take your challenge up, but I won't do it. You do it. And I give you 3 weeks before you sleep, you eat, and live this technology. Don't do it. You don't need me. You have the masters of Keshe Foundation amongst you. The 2 gentlemen, 3 gentlemen with you, they are experts. They're all been hand-trained by me. Armin has been my student for 2 years, every day next to me. I take your challenge up, but I won't do it. I teach you how you do it, and then you say where you stand.
mean, I'm more than willing to help them as well. And I've talked to Todd earlier, and I didn't know it was Major Todd, but now I do.
I have the entire month of September available.
Yes.
Armin, have you got time for American military to teach?
I'm on terminal leave in September before I retire, so the entire month of September is available.
No problem. The challenge is taken up. You can look after our people. They teach you how to do it. You have both Douglas and Armin. They can teach the whole American Army in 2 days, and you do it. But don't forget, you're falling behind Chinese by 3 years.
Well, we'll catch up.
Mr. Keshe, this would be an honor for me.
I hope so, because when you catch up, you'll talk peace, because you know there is no need for any tools to war.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
if Douglas sticks around, that would be absolutely wonderful. If we could.
You give him a good accommodation, somewhere he can enjoy staying. I pay his wages, no problem, and he will teach you freely.
Mr. Keshe, this would be an honor to me because I graduated from Belvoir in the top 5 of my class in 1987 in power generation. So this would be a great honor for me to help the Major into understanding this technology better.
And if you like, if you can invite him to a military base, he teaches all your military guys how to do it. You got to remember, what you see is a solid state, which is hard to manipulate. We are now in a liquid and a field state. My teaching, or most of the knowledge seekers are in that level, and it's beyond your imagination. If that liquid you saw in the bottle they showed you, it got a radius of 70 meters. When you make that dynamic, a radius is 700 meters, 7 kilometers, 70 kilometers. It covers every naval ship on the China Sea, and that's what's going to happen to you very soon. A little dingy boat you don't consider at all something, with a little Chinaman sitting there as a fisherman, will disable all the American naval forces in South China Sea. Because that's all it needs to do. And it's not harmful, it doesn't touch your body. It only interacts with the fields you decide to block. I take your challenge up. I said to our people who are with you, I'm prepared to come to a state. We have no problem with it, as long as you guarantee my safety. As long as the American government guarantees our position and safety and the freedom to teach. I have the same deal with the Chinese leader, President Xi. But it'll be nice if you Americans in your base accept the Chinese, and we teach both of you, both militaries, that you can stay equal. You will not fight. The condition of transfer of this technology is the signing of world peace. It means peace treaty is the forehead of front runner of our agreements. I teach you, but before we teach you a single thing, there is a paper on my website. It says peace treaty. You sign it that you'll never use any part of this technology to harm no one and for no war. If you are that committed to your nation, I challenge you. You sign this peace treaty, I sign you the whole thing. The letter which I received from President Obama is, I sent him the peace treaty. I said, sign this, commit your nation to peace. And he sent me a letter with the armor, let him read it. Every reason to kill. Why do we need to kill? There is so much to enjoy. You're an army officer, I'm a man of peace. You put your gun down, I teach you the knowledge of the universe. I take your challenge up.
Okay.
Give him the peace treaty, let him sign, and teach him everything he needs, please, Armin.
By the way, I wanted to ask, that peace treaty, is that the same kind of a peace treaty as like what the United Nations has, where one nation will never raise a sword against another nation type of thing?
No, it's you personally. Commit yourself to peace that you never harm no one. Can somebody read the peace treaty? It's already translated to most of the languages around the world. It's been signed by millions of people. Vince, can you read the peace treaty? It's only 2 or 3, a few lines. It's on our foundation. Every man we come and work with us has to sign it. Every man uses our technology. We are getting mankind because when you have everything, why do you want to war? I tell you, your officer, give me 3 days in a military base, you'll have no soldier left, because I know how to reach the emotion of your soldiers that they don't even understand why they're carrying guns with them. What's the purpose of it? And the evidence of it is, ask the 27 officers which came off the boat when the Russian blocked it. They walked out and they resigned because they said the nation cannot protect us. But behind it was they couldn't see any reason for war. We have already reached some of your officers through our work. Can you read it, please?
It says...
I've got it on the screen there as well, Vince.
Go ahead, Rick. You're really good at reading these things.
Okay. Let me get my live stream audio going. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see it on the screen there? Is it sharing properly?
Yes.
You can see it on the screen, but it's not big enough for us to read the words.
Someone read it out loud. Rick's gonna read
Yeah, I'll read it. It's okay. Okay, it says World Peace Treaty. We/I, as citizens of the earth, from this moment on, accept to lay down all tools of aggression and war. We/I shall never think about getting involved or incite war or develop or use any tools of war on this planet or in space. And to this we/I all agree and swear with our/my, delete as appropriate, nation, territory, council, religion, city, town, body, and soul. And with name, signature, date, position on behalf of the, and selection of nation, territory, council, religion, city, town, or individual, and a witnessed area. And it says, after signing this treaty, be proud to display this certificate wherever you consider being important to you, that everyone can see and know your ethos to fellow men and mankind and other created beauties of the Creator. So the idea here that you can select or delete the parts that aren't appropriate and have it witnessed, basically. Yes.
This has been signed and said by millions of people. It's one of the most downloaded papers on the internet. And if you can commit you as a man of army to it, the way Douglas has done, and the ex-military man, you see every beauty in this new technology to use it for peaceful application. There is so much job to be created with this technology that computer jobs will be literally a few numbers in it. We have to redo everything. The way we produce food, the way we produce materials, the way we produce even computers. Supercomputers will cost nothing nowadays, once you understand how it works. How you can manipulate different layers of that black material. It gives you every imaginary thing you can imagine. So I take your challenge up, and I hope your Chief of Staff, President Obama, who has a copy of it in his office, because he responded, will sign it with you.
Mr. Kesh, it is getting to be 4 o'clock in the morning your time, and
if it takes even 10 o'clock in the morning my time, and it can bring peace to you Americans and us, it's no problem.
We get to work tomorrow here. That was the next thing.
No problem.
And so we ordinarily go till about 9 o'clock, and this evening we're going almost till 10. And some of us would like to get together afterwards and talk amongst ourselves. And we'll have representatives of the Keshe Foundation here, and we can do that here.
No problem. You can, all the way you want to do it, find a way that we can share knowledge freely, and it'll be done.
And if anybody wants to sign up for follow-on to what happens here what happens after tonight with the representatives of the Keshe Foundation and Mr. Keshe himself and the foundation, you're more than welcome to do so. I've got something here that you can put your names on if you like.
You want to pass it around? Or?
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time. I think you got more than you came in and you bargained for.
Yes, we did. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you indeed. And now we leave you, it's about 3 o'clock. We started teaching, it's about 4 o'clock now. We started teaching at 9 o'clock as usual, Thursday mornings. And hopefully we are one step closer to world peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Shall we end the workshop now, or?
Mic on. We'll end and then we can meet back at 9 a.m. CEST.
The regular Thursday workshop time. Right on. Great. Okay, that's the end of the 132nd Knowledge Seekers workshop for Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where you are, August 17th or 18th. And like Finn says, we'll be back later. So we'll end the live stream now.
2016 in Ghana. Keshe Foundation Ghana's mandate is to build awareness and promote research into plasma technology. The foundation is presently working with governmental institutions and other interest groups in Ghana to fulfill this goal. At the conference, you will be afforded the opportunity to learn about and experience plasma technology firsthand. The cost of admission to the conference includes 3-night stay in one of Ghana's prestigious hotels. Hotel packages include a single, double, or twin room option, and an option for an apartment or suite. Breakfast, tea, and coffee breaks, and a buffet lunch on the days of the conference are also included. Keshe Foundation Ghana is focused on utilizing plasma technology to solve numerous problems facing the African nation. Come to the New Dawn, Africa's Meteoric Rise and Spaceship Technology Conference in Ghana. Learn about plasma technology and learn how you can participate in spreading the word about it. Together, we can bring freedom to Africa and humanity, and we hope to see you there.
Okay, that's the beginning of our workshop, and I think Mr. Keshe is ready to speak with us here. Are you there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, as usual, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you listen to us. We have been trying since some 6-7 hours ago, testing the system with our attorneys in Washington. And during the process, Douglas has broken 2 pieces of the system, which is vital to run the system. We achieved over Unity, much more than over Unity, and in that process, the starter motor could not support to bring in the compressors in that they could start. So we had to stop. We tried to purchase anywhere in Washington we could to bring the pieces together that demonstration could be shown. And at this moment, there will be, we cannot demonstrate. All the parts have been brought in. They try tomorrow to see if they can get the parts, or the team goes back to their location, and in due course, when we can put the other power generators around the world together, we bring them out. We're expecting the Italy to come in by tomorrow while we are on teaching. We see the others coming in. We are receiving a lot of pictures. People are putting their units together. So today's meeting, we wanted to stop and cancel it, but the decision of the lawyers and the people who were with us was we have not lost anything. It's a new generation development, and it is what it shows. So we have the videos, we know it's working. So I don't know what's going to happen in Washington, as we are not there, we are in Europe. They cannot show any demonstration. This is a decision we even till about an hour ago. We were trying to purchase any pieces which is broken around Washington and could not happen. It's too late. They could not achieve it. So there is no demonstration. We cannot demonstrate the unit. The Arman is the speaker in the progress, and we have to wait to see what they decide in Washington, what they're going to release with us. It is unfortunate we are in this position, but we know the system works. We have videoed it. We have seen it in working condition. As is a hybrid, the motor which kicks in the energy just snapped. The motor just stuck in the magnet rotator inside the system, just stuck and it shattered to pieces. And the compressor was compressor capacitor, which you all see on your system. It just broke down to pieces, so we cannot do anything. And this is part of the live testing I'm being there to do. We have shown in the process of the testing that the lights come in and the system started, but we couldn't get the capacitor pump and the 2 fridges. We had 4 pumps. We could not get the main capacitor pump to work. So what we are waiting for is for the people who are in Washington to start the conference. I am not aware of what's happening there. As far as we know, there is still, they had a pre-dinner organized before the presentation. On the other hand, in the process of past 2 days, as we said, this hybrid unit has this inherent problem of failure, mechanical failure. And we are aware of it, and that's why we have moved, as we said, to a solid state system. The solid state system is getting tested. We have 3-4 versions of it running, and very soon we should be able to show you the hybrid to be taken over by the solid state system. We've seen a lot of people asking a lot of questions. There is a very clear distinction. The blueprint which has been released has a 110 volt pump, starter pump. With the 220 in Europe, you need to have a 220 watt power supply, or you buy a motor that supplies 220 that can trigger the plasma, and when the compressor clicks in, the system starts. We have seen a number of people who are posting that their system is nearly to test. Rick, you received a number of pictures in the background. Could you show some of them if you've seen them, or you got?
No, I'm not aware of them yet. Let me have a look.
They are in your messengers. A number of pictures has been sent to you from different people around the world who are testing and developing, and they're on the pre-testing condition, or they'll be releasing their systems in a working condition and testing condition in the next few days. Have you found them?
No, it'll take me several minutes to download them and so on here to be able to get that set up.
No problem. This is something which we did not expect. What do you call it, in the test this afternoon. Double failure was one failure before we had with a capacitor resistor. The system was working this morning. When we moved it from the hotel to the office of our attorney in Washington, we seen the damage, but one part was damaged this morning. We seen it, and we could carry on to replace it. And when the pump shaft literally broke, there was nothing else we could do. We were at it till about 6 o'clock, which is about an hour ago. And this is part of the practicality we had. We showed the same thing with the MAGRAPH system when we released it, but now it's in your hand. You developed it, you've done it. It would have been good to be able to see it. We kept people in Washington since Sunday that they could be shown today, but it hasn't happened. And we have pictures of the test today if Rick can get hold of it. But this is part of the real physicality of the testing such a technology. It's a hybrid, and the hybrid, because of the mechanical part, has its failures. We have to see others when they push it and they develop it, or they replicate it, they don't run into the same problem. Or in our manufacturing, all these things have been looked after. This is a prototype which is there, and it was a first prototype we wanted to be seen. We've seen this prototype for 3-4 weeks working in the background in transportation. It occurred damages several, and then when we tested part which was left behind, we tried to replace it, and it just one thing led to another. But it's a matter of 24 hours, 48 hours delay. The team goes back home and they put it together, and this time we make sure the presentation of it is done directly at a point of presentation. But by then I'm sure a number of you will deliver. We already achieved 2.3 kilowatt and 7 kilowatt in test in Italy. We have to be able to we show that in public, because that is actually the blue box which will be received, and we have overcome a lot of things in this process to make it a solid state. Rick, have you managed to start? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've got the first picture lined up here. Yeah.
You can show the pictures from the test. Oh, these are the people making the system. The compressor and the capacitor compressor. Do you have another picture? You've been sent a number of pictures.
There's about 20 pictures in a row, so I'll try to set that up without showing my desktop. Let me see here.
Okay, don't show your desktop.
That's the trouble with trying to get things set up.
This is the yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through the pictures here.
Yeah. Can you expand the picture or not?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, these are the pictures this afternoon which we've been busy with to in the test. You can see in the background the shaft where you see just where the motor connects the central pump has literally snapped in pieces, and it broke inside, and this is why we could not. This is the officer system, always moist, and it works perfectly. I've done that for some times, and I know it works very, very effective. Are they going to start the conference in Washington? Do we have any response from Brett? Are there any other questions? Today, for security reasons, we are not promoting anyone. to panelists for security reasons. It says Neil Herrick has fixed the vibration problem. A 80,000 RPM motor runs a pump and reaches 220 at a speed of 40,000 RPM. Yes, but the other thing is, what is the frequency you create? This is important as well. If it stays at 50 to 60, this is the combination you need. 110, 50, 60, or 20, 220, 240, 50, 60 hertz. Can you call Brett to see if they want to start a seminar, because it's nearly 1:30? Okay, I've just received I can say, can you send it to the people who were there recording pictures of the test this afternoon? They just sent the picture. This is a photo which shows the light came on as was test started. If it goes to Caroline, we can show it. It says the frequency is about 160 hertz. Is this too much? We don't know. Test it, because we've never been over 50, 60 for our system. Just 1 second, please. Hello, Arman. Pardon?
Yes, just to let everybody know on YouTube that we just had Mr. Kess drop out, so we're just waiting for him to return.
The attorney, the demonstration was getting done, that everything is perfect, and they have seen in the process the over unity running up the lights, and we are in this position at the moment. But this is a demonstration that we were hoping that we can show the totality of it. But we cannot do when there is a mechanical failure, and this is inherent with this kind of hybrids. You have more pictures?
Okay, I think that's about it on that one. Just a minute.
You got more pictures?
Yeah, there's more. It just takes time to set each one up because it's in Facebook, and I have to get it off the page and try to get it reset up, and it's very awkward, and it takes time for one here. So, anyways, there's another one. I have to re-share each one as well.
If you can have
go.
these for the teaching tomorrow. We don't see it. It's a split picture.
Okay, I have to readjust everything. Okay, there's that one. I have to make a new screen up there. It's because the window's too big. Okay, I'll make the window smaller. Try it again.
Those of you who started assembling these, what especially today we noticed is centralizing and making sure the beam into the center pump is centralized and does not vibrate. The vibration of the, what we call the motor, cause the breakup of the central magnetic piece of the pump. And this is where we experienced it. So if you are running these things with a pump and a motor, please make sure there is no vibration, because the smallest vibration, it builds up and it touches the central piece and it just smashes open to pieces. And this is where we had this failure today, and is unless we can devise something else behind it, this will be, most of you will test, or you'll see the same kind of failures in the long run. But as we say, this is just needed to start a pump, and then you draw it, it stops working. But that initial stage, we built to about 600, 700 volts, and the system will not go any further. It just broke, it just snapped. Can we get Brett in the background, or else still at the dinner? You get no response. Okay, while we are waiting, if there are any questions, I'll try to answer if it helps anyone. Are there any questions? Then there's an input on the chat. It says, in the German Zoom meeting today, we started to find a solution to erase the compressors in the setup. Plans are already made and the testing starts in some time. We see different groups are waiting for this to come in. This is most probably the German group. There is something which I have to explain to you. It's got to be added to the blueprint, especially with the 220, 240. Because of the higher level voltage, you need more than 8 capacitors. This is very important. This is what we have seen. If with a 110 supply like United States, 4, 6 capacitors will do. But because you go in a high peak, you need minimum 8 to 12 capacitors in parallel, that it can take the high peak, otherwise your capacitors start burning. In the other structures, you have to make sure that there is no non-nano-coated wire anywhere in this structure. This is very important, because what you will see burn and marks on the wood till the system nano-coats itself. If you are running a very high usage current, you have to go to higher gauges, 12, 10. If you are going for 6 to 10 kilowatts, these are more systems as we show. You see this problem is here, where we see, for example, this is a motor which is used, the white piece at the bottom of this page, that this is where your problem will come. Your problem will come here in this section. That's where we see the break. If there is a smallest vibration, this section will break inside the motor. This is where we lost our motor today. This is the problem piece. The other piece is these maglev sets here, these capacitors, has to be increased if you're going on 24. The connections with your system has to be all nano-coated. And once the system kicks in, there is no problem. You need a capacitor compressor and a normal compressor, because the capacitor in charging up creates a variation which allows the infinity loop to take place and take shape, and it starts going. If you have 2 similar generators, you will not stand a chance as far as we see it, but you can create oscillation as the same as a heart in your systems once you go into the solid state testing, which we show you. Solid state testing system is very, very simple. It's much simpler than what you see. It literally the same as a blue box maglev unit. No, even we can go smaller, I think. The possibility is that maybe tomorrow we show you the structure of the what we call pocket size, which is a Rubik cube size, if it's ready to be shown. So you see the solid state maglev, what we call generators, second generation, which is solid state, will not have all this wiring and all this elaborate, but the wiring inside is extremely elaborate. We see this one. Where are these from? Does anybody know?
This is chart.
It says what I'm hearing is the system is working so well that that's Cherwin from Norway. Mechanical part could not handle the power of the unit. Is this true? No, it's just reaching the 1000 volt, which with 60 hertz triggers in the plasma, is very difficult if you haven't fixed everything and you get a vibration. And the strange thing was today, because they left the units back at home, so They bought a handrail fixed on a piece of wood with the center locked in the pump, and the handrail literally shook, as we saw in the white, and is broken. It says, we don't understand. I cannot read. Is it in German? From Mark Blank. Mark Blank. So you see this, these are the parts of the problem. My advice to you is make sure there is no loose pieces. There are no loose pieces because we've seen the failures here when the system was on the table and fixed for weeks, we had no problem. In moving the table has to start causing the problem. Yes, this is a flexible coupling is needed between the DC motor and the AC pump motor. This is the problem, but it was done, I think, this way, as we've seen. This has to. They're asking what kind of lubrication gel do we use in capacitors? Normal gels you buy, hand gels, is been used by Douglas, and we have to wait and see how much and how far we can bring this thing out. I don't personally favor the gel, but this is what you will teach us. Most probably we learn different way. I prefer to use a GaNs gel, which is much easier to make, and it is a power supply itself. All you need to do, you add certain amount of salt, which keeps the system